But
Oh yeah.
when I asked him about being Santa Claus, he was like, I'm not. He's like, I dress up as Santa Claus every year, but he's like, I'm not Santa Claus. But my dad, my grandpa, he's like, I come from 2 generations of Santa Clauses. He's like, they're real Santa Clauses. And I was like, whoa, these guys take this shit seriously.
Yeah.
Guess
And
it's
he's
just
like,
a
I'm
family
he's
thing.
like, I'm really small compared to them. I was like, holy crap, what does that mean?
I
Because
think Bad Santa is one of the best movies ever made.
oh
Isn't
my
it?
god, that's a great
Haven't
movie.
seen it.
Oh, Nsima.
I haven't seen
I
it
haven't
either.
seen it.
And Nsima, you
I
would
haven't seen it.
You would love
laugh uncontrollably at all the inappropriate content for sure. Because it's
I need to check it out.
way over the top.
Yeah.
it. It's amazing. I mean, it's like he's got a little elf, he's got a midget guy that's an elf, and that's like his partner.
And he's
in
always
crime.
drunk.
Yeah, and what they do, it's Bad Santa, so they work in the mall, and when the mall closes down, they stay in the mall and like hide,
Yeah.
and then they steal a bunch of shit.
Okay.
And every year they make off with a bunch of money, and it's like, hey, it's Santa season again. Let's go rob the mall. And like,
And Billy Bob Thornton is just an absolute mess throughout
Yeah.
the whole film. So you definitely need to see it.
You guys convinced me. I'll watch it.
oh, you
watch
thought he was a mess? I thought that was like normal because I was an alcoholic when I saw it. So I thought it was just everyday life.
And you're like, oh, that looks pretty good.
That's
I was
kind
like,
of.
why is this Bad Santa? It should be Great Santa.
I remember that. Oh.
So you're talking to a guy later on today that lost like 300 pounds or 200 pounds?
He lost 170 pounds. His name
Holy
is
crap.
his name on Instagram is Big Block GMAC. So he's like 6'8". This guy, I want him to be a pro wrestler, but he's a little older. Like, well, he's like in his 30s. But I was like, dude, I was like, how old are you? You can fucking wrestle. So he weighed 738 pounds when I think 730.
6'8". That's a mammoth person.
6'7" or 6'8". He's a big dude. And
How'd you get in contact with this guy?
just off of Instagram, he just hit me up one day and said, hey, I've been doing carnivore. And I think at the time he'd lost like, a bunch of weight. I don't remember how much when I first met him. And then he just kept cranking, and I saw him. And what I like about Big Block, it's Big Block GMAC if people want to look him up on Instagram. But what I like about Big Block is his attitude. And the same with Hottie. You've met Hottie. He's coming to the gym. Hottie's lost 191 pounds. And like what I love about his attitude is that every time I go on his Instagram, he's lifting. Like he's always training. And, I tell him sometimes like, hey, you don't have to train that much because sometimes I think
He's going crazy.
well, maybe he's a big dude, right? And he's on his feet all day. He's a bouncer, which is great.
Wow.
So we connect on that. He works at bars and stuff like that. And obviously we did that all growing up. So we can relate to that. And, like you get tired. You're just on your feet all day.
on that work schedule's weird, working through the night, no matter how much you try to sleep.
Exactly. Like I just texted him. He's like, hey, I'm up. You know what I mean? Like, which is weird for us because we're up at 4. So it's like when people say they're up and it's noon, you're like,
Yeah.
weird. Because he's
That is
actually in Texas. So it's later there.
That is a really tough thing, is to have like a night schedule like that. Like I can't imagine, now I can't imagine what that would be like, even though I went through it for a period of time. But it's so hard to get sleep when it's daylight outside. There's somebody, when you live in like apartments and stuff, there seems like there's always someone with a weed whacker or a leaf blower, at like 7:30 in the morning. There's always a dog barking. There's always something.
What I love about these guys, like so Steve Slauson, who's the other guy that lost like 100 and something pounds, 150 pounds. These are like 3 guys that just literally followed us and lost over, almost 200 pounds. These guys, right? And the attitude is what always makes it. So like a lot of these guys, I'll tell them like, hey man, like you don't have to take it that serious. Like if you want to have some like nut butter at the end of the night, or and they're always like, no, this is a war on carbs. Like I'm in. And so like I've got them so deep in that they're total like soldiers for it, And I think that's actually good because until they get to where they want to be, they probably are right. They probably shouldn't be messing with stuff. I'm just trying to make it so that they can tolerate it. But they're like, no, I'm totally fine.
Well, they made an agreement with themselves to change their lives forever, and they don't want to go back. And like with yourself, with like alcohol, it's like you could probably have a sip, and it
it's
probably
actually-
cause no harm, but we don't really know.
And you're right. And it's actually teaching me as like, I'm not a coach and I'm not a trainer. That's not what I do. But I really enjoy helping people. And it's been teaching me in order to help people better. Maybe it's good to keep them strict. Maybe it's good to just be like, you know what? You can't have that. Like maybe a little bit of tough love is actually good. But I just try to not be dogmatic with
Well,
people.
at this point, maybe why go off the diet? I mean, we're sitting here with some Quest bars and some perfect keto products in front of us, and these Quest Hero bars are amazing. Quest made a donut bar, which tastes like a donut.
Dude, that donut bar is insane because it tastes exactly like those little donuts that you
It
get at the
does.
gas station.
Yeah, I
It
know.
That's what
tastes
Andrew
exactly
said.
like them, and that kind of junk.
Double blind placebo
It's
test.
it's weird because that doesn't necessarily taste like a normal chocolate donut. That has a weird flavor to
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and they nailed it. But that makes me like that bar, and then it's like, oh yeah, this is just in place of that junk that I used to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to eat 20 donut bars, but I'm going to eat it once in a while.
Well, you came over
That's
last
you.
night all fired up with the pecan butter.
Yeah, and it's so good.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's from our boy Beardy Boy. He changed the name of the company, right?
Sunday Provisions. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
That's some
click
really
the
good-
link in my bio on my Instagram, you can
Nice.
order Sunday
That's our
Provisions.
boy Gavin, who we've had on the podcast before. I think it was before you started
Yeah.
joining in on us, joining in on the podcast.
Yeah.
He was
Gavin
a chef.
Murphy.
Yeah, Gavin Murphy. He's a chef, and he made a great product. And there's a lot. My point is, there's a lot of great products out there, and maybe there's really not a reason to go off. I mean, Quest also makes pizza, and there's some low carb pizzas. You can go on a website called Ruled.me, and you can make like fat bombs. You can make ice cream. You can make pizza. You can make spaghetti and meatballs. You can have a burger with a bun. I mean, you can what you can do is kind of limitless. And we checked out the other day. We were walking through Davis, and Burger Ream, right? It's
Yeah,
called?
Burger Ream. Yeah.
Burger Ream. It reads Burger IM, but Burger
It's either
Ream.
Burger Rim or Burger Ream, which are both bad.
Yeah, Burger.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
It's
know that
Hebrew
place.
for plenty of burgers or lots
yeah.
of burgers.
Yeah, we
Many
looked it up
burgers.
because we were like, what the hell does that mean?
Has like weird meat, right?
They're really
But-
good.
No,
they,
it's-
they
well,
have
they do have
five or
different-
6 different kinds of meat.
Yeah. They have different kinds of meat, and they have sliders, and then they actually offer a bun that's like a keto bun,
Yep.
like an actual
Keto
bun,
bun.
not a lettuce
5
wrap.
grams of carbs.
Yep. So I mean, there's more and more options all the time. We
It's
haven't
called-
tried it yet.
It's called an unbun. So that's a brand. It's called Unbun.
Yeah.
UN.
I wonder what the consistency is like what it's actually.
We're gonna try it out.
Well, we're going to try it out.
We'll try it out today.
That should be good.
Burgers in, burgers out. Let's try it.
Yeah.
See how much
Yeah.
fiber's in that bun.
Yeah, it might just be
Not
a big,
much.
might just be a big
Talk
blowout.
about in and out.
Are there reasons for some cheats on the diet that you're on? You think?
Well, right now, so this month I just put a flag down and said I'm doing no carbs till November, and that was just like all of October.
Wait, no carbs until November, or are you going to do a no carb November?
No carbs until November.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, and then when November comes,
What, you
around-
wanted to join in on No Carb November?
no carb November would be actually
Well,
pretty fun.
we're gonna do that, but my birthday is November 3rd, and I turned
Ah.
47. So I was trying to get in like the best shape I can.
Yeah.
Before
How about
I turn,
after his birthday, we all go till Christmas?
Yeah, no carbs till Christmas.
That'd be we got to go no carbs through Thanksgiving, which will be kind of hard, but it'd be great because then it will keep me away from being
Dude,
fat.
We're gonna cook up so much meat on Thanksgiving. It's gonna be ridiculous. I have so many steaks right now.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go nuts.
We have those tomahawks, and I can't wait to actually use that. Andrew, that was a
you
good
get
idea to
'em?
use it on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Piedmontese.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Piedmontese tomahawks are amazing.
What do you think
to
about
try it.
people saying like on like a low carb or ketogenic diet that like maybe like you need carbohydrates? I mean, you were just telling me a Gatorade story. Why don't you share that with everybody?
Well, yeah, we were working out. It was outside. It was in the summer. It was really hot. It was at the old gym, and I was working out with you and your wife, and we were just
Don't
going.
go bringing my wife into this, bro.
We were going crazy. We were like pushing, at a different level, and I was, still real fat. And I basically like after the workout, I went in, and grabbed 2 Gatorades and sucked them down. And then like after it, I just felt, I was like, why did I do that? Like that's like 70 grams of sugar or something, right? And I thought that I needed it. Like I thought like this is gonna be what's gonna make me recover. It's gonna, it's gonna help me, whatever. And I don't know. I think like that day I just realized like I'm just killing myself with sugar. I'm allowing myself to think that these things that are promoted for health, like every Gatorade commercial you see, has Michael Jordan or somebody else that's ripped in it, and these things that were promoted for health and that you need, maybe I don't need it. Like what? Like I was like I didn't need it before when I was doing red meat and water back in the day at Gold's Gym and like lifting all that weight, and I've squatted and benched and deadlifted the most weights in my entire life with no carbs in my body. So why would I all of a sudden need them now? Now, could I be stronger with carbs? I guess people can make that argument, but like I don't know. I've never lifted really with a whole lot of carbs in me, except for when we did powerlifting meets. And I remember when we did powerlifting meets, I would always carb up before, and because I was not used to eating carbs, I didn't really know how to use them very well, and I would always feel sick when I lifted and when I competed because I just, I would get carbs in me, and then I would get like sort of hypoglycemic or whatever, where I felt
We
shitty.
we at that time we just didn't know what we were doing, and we would like just load up on food, and then we
Yeah.
would also load up on food that we weren't really used to. Which,
Yeah.
looking back on it, it's like, well, that's so obvious.
It's
You
stupid.
don't want to have anything in your system that you're not used to. If you're not used to eating pizza, it really doesn't make a lot of sense to go and load up on a bunch of pizza or even pasta.
Well,
or
before a
something like
meat, I used to grab like Carboforce and
Yeah.
drink a bunch of Carboforce, and then I feel like I was going to explode. People be like, "Oh, you get all packed in with the carbs, and then you just bench a lot of weight," and I'd be like, "No, I feel like I'm going to puke." Actually,
Yeah.
So
Just to
for
eat
me,
stuff.
that stuff just didn't. It never panned out the way it's supposed to pan out, and for other people, it works great. And I just say, now I just keep saying because I've seen so much and I've been around so much and I've been on the internet so much lately that I just see like the best way to help people is to just offer options, and be there to help and don't be a dick about it, like, and that's sort of my best way to help people is like, look, this is what I did. It's not what Lane Norton does, and it's not what Stan does, and those methods are great, but those are for other people. This is what I did for me, and I think like that's a great way to put it is like, if somebody's more suited for a vertical diet, I always push them towards Stan. If somebody's more suited for, some sort of flexible dieting, I'll push him towards Lane. I'll say, go follow Lane. He'll give you the information you need. I think you're helping people better that way to let people go on their own journey and let people find what is good. I know it sounds like cliche to say, find what works for you, but like that is really the only answer that we have is like, but I think what would work for, I honestly think that a carnivore diet, red meat and water, I just think works for everyone, just like fasting. I just think it would. I don't see any reason why
Well, we had
it wouldn't help people.
We had Dr. Baker on. He was talking about one of the doctors that he talked to has been studying like food allergies for, this really long amount of time, and he has never seen anybody that had like negative results eating red meat. It was always like
Unless you've been
different carbohydrates and some different.
How
things
many
like
times
that.
have you had people say that they're like allergic to red meat or they can't eat it, right? The only people that are actually allergic to red meat are people that have been bitten by a Lone Star tick, which is really rare. Get bitten by a Lone Star tick, there's something in red meat that your body can't process, and then you can get really sick from it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's anomalies out there, right?
And I'm sure there's like another handful of people that can't do red meat, but like it's actually surprisingly a very small group of people that actually can't have it.
Yeah.
So I think if people say that they can't have it, they're probably saying it because they don't like it, which is fine. And then we find another way to help them.
It's an acquired taste. I didn't like red meat, honestly, for a long time, partially because I just didn't eat a lot of red meat growing up. And also just I think, when you hear, oh, red meat is so bad for you, when you have it, you're like, yeah, this isn't good for me. So you think like, oh, it's not good, right?
Yeah.
So it's partially a cultural thing.
I love that you said acquired taste because where you're from, your culture basically is you said that you grew up eating organ meats and stuff. So like it's funny that red meat's the acquired taste, but organ meats were like in your diet. And for me, that's an acquired thing. Like that took a while to get used to organs.
Yeah. But yeah, the red meat thing, like I know a lot of people who continue to say, oh, when I eat red meat, it bothers my stomach. It bothers my stomach. And it's just like, I think it just takes some time. It takes some time to get used to, because most people eat chicken because they think chicken is the more healthy meat for you.
Yeah.
You'd also have to kind of think about like, where and how are these things being prepared. Maybe it's every time you go to a restaurant and maybe you have problems with canola oil and maybe they're cooking the food at, like, if maybe you had steak and maybe you had a salad with it or something, and maybe it's a combination of the oil that they cooked the steak in.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not just the red meat that's the perpetrator. And then also anytime that you start to really increase fat or you really go and increase protein like out of nowhere and your body's not used to it, you're going to have some issues in the bathroom. Sometimes you'll have constipation, and sometimes you'll have the exact opposite of constipation, which is having like massive blowouts, just spraying the bathroom like you're an artist laying down some paint, some abstract
Some
art.
spin art.
Nsima, you've been doing like a really lower amount of carbs, kind of for the last maybe like 2 years. You've been lowering the carbs, and then just like inadvertently, you've been just not eating them here and there, right? How are you feeling?
Yeah. No, I feel great. And it was really surprising because, like I said, I grew up first off, eating a lot of carbs every day. Played a lot of soccer. So, I mean, your coach tells you need to eat a lot of pasta and rice and oatmeal. So that was like what I grew up on for sport. And as I was trying this out, like most days it's like sub 120 carbs, sub 120 to 130. Some days I just don't feel the need for it. Not like I'm even trying to dodge it. I just don't feel hungry for it. And I don't feel that I need it for activity anymore. And that's a really surprising thing because like with the amount of endurance work I do, the amount of cardiovascular work I do, I would have thought that this is what I'm going to need to be able to get through all these workouts. And it's just not the case. So it's like, that's one of the things I've mentioned before. I think athletes especially like are scared of trying that out because again, when you see all these pro athletes, you see them drinking Gatorade, you see them with a bunch of these high carb foods, and you think that that's the thing you need to eat to be able to perform as an athlete. So I can understand why it would be scary to kind of stray off of that.
When did you learn that nutrition supported like the activity that you were doing?
I've known that like since I was 10. Like that, but it's not like I researched that. It's because that's what all of my coaches and that's what like my mom and like that's what was put on me.
I think for parents, listening to this, that's a great message on maybe why it might be important to have your kids try to participate in some different sports because maybe they don't do shit with the sport. Maybe they don't even like it. But maybe they learn that. Like that's a great thing to learn. Like you can fuel your body with food. That's a great lesson to learn for life. And regardless of maybe they didn't have all the knowledge that we have now or whatever, that's still an amazing thing. Like, oh, you can eat a certain way and then have better results. It's like that's really cool to know that.
Well, and to go into being a good message, I don't think any of this would be here if we didn't play football. Right. So we started playing football. I had bad knees. I started powerlifting to fix my knees and help that. And then that started the powerlifting train. And the next thing you know, we got Mark in the gym at 12 years old. You know what I mean? So from a very young age, he knew like lifting was really powerful.
Yeah.
We weren't really schooled on the food until I got to California when I was like 20 years old. But then kind of life happened, so like in between people are like, well, what happened? I'm like, well, I always knew nutrition was important. And I always knew that it was, it was good. But like I didn't know the ins and outs of it enough to manipulate it in my own body. And I thought I was a victim of, I have a slow metabolism. I'm from a fat family. I can't fix this. Like that's in my head.
Our family is fat.
And when you see how fat they are, you're like, man, you're right. You can't fix that. No, I'm just kidding. But basically, that's what I thought. In my head, I was convinced, well, I'm not going to ever fix this. I'll never be like Mike O'Hearn or these guys. Like, they were just born that way. And then, like, you actually step back and you zoom out, and you realize, like, how hard Mike works, what he does. Yes, he is genetically gifted, and he will be the first to admit that. But he works really, really hard. And
super structured with his food.
And he fasts like crazy, and he'll do 72-hour fast. And
he does?
He'll do all sorts of crazy shit. He does.
For a
he
while,
is so much smarter than anybody ever gives him credit for. I think because they're jealous or they don't think he's natty or whatever reason, right? But man, he does a lot to manipulate his food. Back when I was doing like red meat and water and stuff like that, he knew about all that stuff. I don't know how often he would put it implement it in his diet, but I know that he knows about it. So like, I know that there's times when he's gone no carbs. I know there's times when he's gone high carb, and I've seen him go up and down from 220 to 280,
Oh yeah. You don't know what you're going to get when you go see him. Like you're like, okay, maybe like I feel pretty strong. I think I can maybe get him on something. And then you show up and he's 280 and you're like, okay, I got no shot.
Oh, and then he'll bench press like 400 pounds on an incline for reps. And then you're like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Then you're like, hey, bro, let's squat. And then he's squatting 6 plates really easy. Or he's front squatting 5 plates pretty easy. And you're like, all right, let's try deadlift. And it's like, oh, okay, I don't know. I don't know what we can make up to beat him on.
O'Hearn has like all these training partners. Like he's got several of them because he wears people out and kills them.
All.
Yeah.
So there's one guy, our buddy Kelly Sullivan. He's a cop. He's a big dude, big heavy dude. And he can bench 405 for reps on an incline bench. So he comes in every incline day, and I never see him any other day. Yeah. Like when they're squatting and doing deadlifting.
Some other guys will come in, on specific days.
And then other dudes come in on the squat and deadlift days, But he's got like different people for like different exercises almost because he just wears people out and kills them.
If I lived there, I don't think I would train with him.
I didn't train
like,
him.
I love training with him, and it's hard. But man, to do it all the time.
Well, Mike knows, and I do this here sometimes.
I'm too much of a pussy.
Like I can't always do everything, so I come in when everybody's here, but I don't always lift with everybody because sometimes, you know, I'm trying to do something a little bit different because I'm doing some variation because I'm old and grizzled.
Yeah.
But I always made it a point to be at Gold's Gym when Mike was there. I always be like, when are you lifting tomorrow? I'd be like 5, and I'd show up at 5, and I'd
He
squat.
brings a lot of energy.
I'd squat right next to them because they're going up to 5 plates, and I want to go up to 5 plates, but I want to do something different, like maybe a box squat or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you always got people there to help you too. So
Yeah.
there's always, like you're right, he brings a lot of energy.
You said that you zoomed out, and I think that's an amazing, amazing thing to think about. What esse have you zoomed out on and learned more about yourself or learned more
I
about?
was just talking today about like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like I've loved Arnold. I've been a huge fan of Arnold from my entire life. And he goes and makes a movie, and he doesn't even make it. He just puts his name on a movie that's vegan. And then like all of a sudden I find I got this shitty attitude towards Arnold.
Really?
And I needed to zoom out and say, look, Arnold Schwarzenegger's done so much great shit. And if it wasn't for him, like even like again, this place probably wouldn't be here,
Right.
Because we would never got into this shit, right? So to
He's
be mad,
inspired everybody. Yeah.
and maybe he's trying to do something that sort of sets off a revolution of people fucking eating better.
Right.
And so I zoomed out and I said, look, don't get mad at Arnold, get mad at like all the people eating shit, get mad at like how can I make a difference? How can I help what Arnold's doing? And so while we're at complete different ends of the spectrum, I'm saying eat more meat and he's saying less meat. We're both trying to do the same thing. And when I like thought about it in those in that context, it sort of made me just forget about it. Like I'm trying to not be angry at shit. I'm trying to grow in that way to not be triggered by things. And it's so easy to go through Instagram and be like, you know, screw this guy, screw that guy.
They need people to watch the movie, you know, and to say James Cameron is a part of it is probably not enough.
No.
You know?
Oh, definitely not.
But to say that Arnold's behind it, now you're like, wait, Arnold? Like Arnold was like the best build in the history of bodybuilding. He's behind this vegan movement. Like, I should check that out.
Well, even like Kai Green. Did you see what Kai Green tweeted?
I don't know.
Thinking
wanna know
about
what Kai
going
Green did.
on. Well, he said, I'm thinking about going on a plant-based diet. And I was like, well, makes sense. He loves grapefruit. That's what I tweeted back to it. I said it makes sense because you love grapefruit.
I'm glad none of us ever watched the video.
A bunch of times.
Yeah.
I'm glad none of us were really moved by it.
Oh God!
What are you laughing at over there?
Was there a tweet back or something? Or
I don't know. I didn't look.
Oh God!
A tweet. Can only hope.
He's got 5 million followers. He probably doesn't read it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But you know.
Oh God.
Anyway, I just think that that's really interesting. Somebody that's that deep into bodybuilding, like, does not know that, like, wait a second, everything you built was on this. Like, what's going to happen? You know, like, he could probably sustain on a plant-based diet for quite a long time, but it's interesting that you got to supplement so much shit. Doesn't seem like it's a good diet.
I guess you can get enough information from various sources and believe in any sort of diet, right?
Yeah, I had like a similar feeling toward like that you had towards Arnold too. I'm like, come on, man, like you're like almost like you're turning your back on like the whole community. But then Stephanie, she showed me some. It was like a promo for the new Terminator movie.
Yeah.
And it's him, and I can't remember her
You
name.
get all fired up, right?
Yeah, but no, he's like, okay, he's like, you're gonna sleep 6 hours a day. Okay, you have 18 hours a day. You're gonna tell me you don't have enough time to work out. Okay, you're gonna go work for 10 hours. Okay, you have 8 hours left in the day. What's your excuse for not working out? And it was just like, that's the guy that I know and love, you know. And like, so whatever's going on with the documentary, whatever, you know, yeah, exactly, yeah, pretty much, yeah. I can just totally wipe that out of my memory and then look at this guy that like that's our hero right there.
That's
It
an
was so
amazing
cool.
speech. I know that speech that you're talking about. It's ridiculous. Really good.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a documentary about nutrition. Like, let's be real. Like, what's there to really get mad about? Like, yeah, we can get mad about the type of nutrition that's being put forward, but it's still nutrition. It's still like, let's help people get healthier.
Yeah, he's not
Yeah, I think-
stealing food from babies. Or
No,
something, yeah.
correct. Yeah, I think the only like the part that like that I am a little bit frustrated with is just like they pick and choose exactly what to showcase.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, exactly. Thanks, Jess. They cherry pick what they want to show to make it like to push their narrative.
Yeah.
And that's the only part I have, you know, because like I was just telling you, what if on Sarmageddon I waited till my blood work got really, really good and I posted that in the series?
Yeah.
And I didn't show where my
mean,
blood work got shitty. But
When you make a documentary, though, you're always going to sort of cherry pick. Like, I couldn't really put what was really going on in Bigger, Stronger, Faster. Like, fucking everybody was on steroids. And, like,
okay.
you know, like, there was so much shit going on behind the scenes that I would love to talk about. But I mean, it would just out everybody, and everybody would be like, "Oh, you're an asshole." You know what I mean? There's like things that were said that couldn't be in the movie. There was, I mean,
Kenny KO everybody.
yeah, the amount. I mean, like honestly, like the amount of shit that like people told me, and people told me in secret, you know, and different things that like we weren't able to get on camera. Like, just some crazy shit. Like we showed up at Santa Monica College, and we were talking to Joe Douglas, who used to coach Carl Lewis. He's like, yeah, we used to go over to UCLA and get shots all the time. I'm like, shots of what? He goes, I don't know what they were giving him, some hormones or something. He's like, they would just keep us under the level. So there's like a level, right? When you get tested, there's a testosterone level, and it goes up, you know, to a certain level, and then after that level, you're considered to be on steroids. So they would just keep us under that level. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, the whole team. Carl, everybody, you know, Carl Lewis.
Yeah.
That's his coach. Like we're
I mean, Carl Lewis, you know, had a lot of secrets. You know what I mean?
well, we're
He
like,
had a lot of secrets throughout
can
his
we come
career.
back and interview? He goes, absolutely not.
Yeah.
and
Absolutely
that's
not.
the kind of shit where you're like,
Yeah.
holy fuck.
And what's funny is
Everybody's on the juice.
Carl Lewis is one of the athletes that they put on a pedestal in the documentary because he went vegan towards the end of his career.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm like, he was on stuff though.
Yeah.
He went the other way in many ways.
Yeah, there
Carl
was
Lewis.
right,
Uh-oh.
and there was there's a conspiracy around Nike that they helped cover some of the stuff up because he was a highly sponsored athlete, and there's all kinds of shit that you can probably dig in on for a while with that stuff.
It's crazy because all these people are like, well, we would never sponsor, you know. Like I have a TV show that I wrote, The Menace of Venice, and I was bringing that around to people. And famous actors, big jacked famous actors, wouldn't be in it because they were afraid that it's associated with steroids. And it's like, come on, man. Like
makes sense,
this
though.
is a movie. It's a TV show. You know, and that's interesting though, because you're like, why would that be something that you're afraid to portray in a movie when it's like fake, but it hits too close to home for people. That's the problem.
Why do you think steroids are such a thing? Like, why does it always get all? It continues to get kicked up. I thought after your movie that most of that shit would.
Nobody
be
wants to see you do
behind.
better than them. People are afraid of you being, you know, like, oh, well, he just takes steroids, and it's like this moral judgment, and I'm morally, you know, better than you, or
right. But if
whatever.
people view it as cheating, who cheats?
everybody,
Everybody.
on everything.
Everyone cheats on something, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe not even necessarily, cheats, but I mean, even just think about your day to day. Like everyone breaks the law every day.
Mhm.
Running a stop sign, going a little faster than the speed limit. There's all kinds of they're
Logging
small.
into somebody else's
They're small,
Netflix.
and someone's going to be like, you know what? But that ain't a big deal. That ain't a big deal. But then, well, how do we scale this? How do we make sense of it? You want to shoot some oil in your shoulder or your butt so that you can be stronger,
Well,
so you can do better in a sport. You know, I
what's-
know you're not supposed to take them, but
What's
it's-
safer, steroids or running a yellow light? You know, like
Right.
it's. I mean, you don't know where the other guys come. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
so.
right. I know that they try to set the rules up a certain way, and then they say this is the way that we're going to try to play this game, and that's kind of the definition of sport, right? Like,
But I don't agree with that. Like I agree with. I don't agree with people using steroids if they're not supposed to.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't agree with people using steroids and like claiming that they're natural.
Right.
Nsima. No, I'm just
Oh.
kidding.
No, it is kind of the worst
But-
part of it, right?
But that's a. I'm just kidding, man. He was a
I know.
natty. He was a natty professor for so long. It's been
If
a
he
joke
snaps and responds, that's not going to look good. If he just plays it off as if it's no big deal, he's
It's
still
not going
screwed.
to look
forever.
good.
Could put me in an arm bar or something.
It's okay, Chris.
Guilty until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
That's how it
He's like,
works.
of what?
But people just think that it discounts the hard work that they do, and it's really hard to get in shape. Like you know, like you
It's a
saw-
full-time job getting in
Okay,
shape.
so both of us are taking. I mean, I am. I don't know if you are, but
What?
taking testosterone right now, right? TRT.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how fucking hard we worked today.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
we left it all in the gym. Like we went crazy. And then like even the other day when we were doing those deadlifts and we went up and we just kept going up and
Go as
up.
hard as you can.
And then like you were pushing heavier. You did another set. Well, I'm like, well, I got to do another set. And then Andrew's like, I got to do another set. And then we all just went again, right? And we just kept going up and
All a
up.
bunch of cheaters.
Well, and so
Everybody's just taking the shortcut. That's what,
what
I
I'm
hear
saying
the
is like
most.
everybody worked really hard, and that's what helps us recover and make it to the next one. You know, and we've been training really hard. We've been able to train really hard, and I think that's interesting. I can think people think it discounts everything, but it really doesn't. it doesn't do so much that it should take away from what you think of somebody.
Something that I wonder, and I've been thinking about, because like transgender people are getting into different sports, and they're trying to get into certain sports, and it's causing like an uproar. And what I can make sense of is like the fact that we can go after the same thing, but we can only go after the same thing if we have like similar rules. And so I think if someone comes in with a greater advantage, and it's not so much like, because let's just forget about the transgender thing for a second. What if there was no gender in sport, right? What if it was like just men and women can play whatever, right? So like in certain sports, there shouldn't even be a gender difference. Like in gymnastics, for example, like the playing field is level enough to where women could succeed in that due to various components of gymnastics.
Women could probably beat men in a lot of the things.
They can
right? 'Cause
probably
they're lighter,
beat
they're
men
smaller.
in a large number of things, right? Women are usually more mobile and more flexible. Obviously, they're not always stronger, so there's some limitations there. But would they catch up is kind of my point. And so, like, allowing someone transgender to go into, let's say, a 100-meter sprint. Why, as a girl, would you be upset if you got beat formally by a guy and you ran faster? Because you probably, over a period of time, you'd probably get better. When people break world records, the person behind them a lot of times breaks a world record too. So I think what people get upset about and what they get pissed about in the case of a transgender person crossing over into a different sport, or in the case of someone using steroids, which in my opinion, these are similar things, and they take what you thought was rightfully yours. Like that first place trophy is mine. You don't belong here because you are that way. You're doing that. You're taking steroids, or you used to be a guy, or whatever the case is, and this belonged to me. I was going to win that. But if you were faster for it, what are you really bitching about?
Yeah. What's interesting too is like we make these big arguments about like athletes and sport and like all these crazy things, and there's so few people that actually like
It's not
participate.
Right.
Right. And so like it's just people talking because they want to be outraged. Like that's what Joe Rogan was talking about yesterday. I thought it was amazing. He was like, Instagram, Facebook, and all the social media things, all they are is these platforms to make you outraged so that you buy and consume and you do shit. Like, and you keep clicking and you keep clicking. Like everything's clickbait. The clickbait's there to outrage you. So you're like, I'm fucking outraged. And then you click, and the algorithm is literally just to stress people out. And that's crazy to think about, because that's what we're doing with when we start talking about, we get in all these arguments about like transgender and this and that. And it's like, it's such a small group of people that are like actually involved in it, yet everybody's talking about it. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got something to say about it, and everybody's like outraged over it, and it's just basically stressing everybody out. And there's probably a much simpler answer for it. I hear like a lot of people say, well, it should be their own division, right? And
yes,
that seems like it makes the most sense.
It
doesn't hurt anybody.
There's a lot
of
men.
makes its own sense.
But how long have you been?
Well, and then do you have to like? Should the Olympics cater to that? Like, at what level are they going to cater to that? How many athletes are there that we need to say, okay, well, we need to have a whole different, thing?
There's a lot of male track athletes that have transitioned to being women that are beating women and breaking national records currently because they're allowed to compete in high school. It's not the same when a woman transitions to being a man and like competes against men. That's why dudes don't really trip.
Yeah,
we're not tripping about it. Because we know that usually the top male athletes...
I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah, we're not tripping because the top male athletes, I'm sorry to say, even if a top female athlete transitions to being a man and wants to compete against men, she won't do well. That's a tough thing to say straightforwardly, but it's the truth. All right? But if a dude, even a middle of the tier dude, right? Typically he's going to be stronger than some women. He transitions to being a woman, there have been guys that have been setting records. Like there's a guy that legit was just like, oh, I'm going to set a female record and transition to being a woman. He did.
Let me ask you a question. There's some females right now that are natural, squat over 550 pounds.
Oh, yeah. What's her name? Amanda?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
there's a bunch of women that are
What
doing
if
it
somebody like that, hypothetically, got on the juice and could squat 700 pounds or something? Like then it's like, now
well, she wouldn't be competing USAPL. That's the first thing.
I know, but I'm saying it's like it's it's interesting because,
well, from a powerlifting perspective, what would happen is let's just say this female that goes on stuff could squat 700 pounds raw, right? Which would be amazing. I don't think anyone's done anything like that. But there have been a few girls squatting over 6. I think 628, 633 is kind of what the number that comes in my head. But let's just say someone did squat 700 pounds. Well, then what are they going to be able to bench? You know, a lot of women struggle with the bench. Even the strongest women are benching around 300. So let's just say that she was able to get up to like 500 on the bench and pull, 600, 700. Still, amongst the top men, would still really struggle. However, the women that are already lifting these weights are in pretty light weight classes. So I would imagine that with the use of steroids, though, too, they would probably, gain some weight on their frame. But I'm in agreement with Nsima that it wouldn't, a lot of girls that would try to make that transition, it wouldn't have that big of an impact. But there could be some that could get through and could really kick a lot of ass.
Yeah.
But I think, I think it's one of the Williams sisters played like the 80th ranked male tennis player in the world. And I think the guy,
he smoked her.
I think he kicked her ass. However, I believe Billie Jean King years and years ago played tennis against a male. And I believe that she won, and it was against somebody pretty good. So, I mean, tennis is an interesting thing because there's a lot of power and speed there, but there's also a lot of form and technique. And what I wonder, though, is like if men and women kept going against each other more and more often, I don't think the women would eventually really win, but I think it would close the gap. And women can certainly crush.
Because it would bring their competition
There's
level
a lot of women that could crush a lot of men in a lot of fucking sports.
Yeah.
There's probably girls that
I get crushed by a strongman woman in a yoke walk.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And there's probably a lot of girls, even at your jiu-jitsu, that will wrap most of us up and make us tap in a second, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Look at some, like a lot
I'm
of the top
going.
women. Don't be going for those reasons,
sign me up.
pervert. but like, yeah, it's a tough thing. But I think, Andrew, if you can find this, I think the women's national team, it was a few years ago, they competed against like I think it was like a senior varsity or varsity high school team and lost.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
I can't pull it up because the internet's being really, really weird right now. But yeah, I think Rogan was talking about, or not, somebody was talking about it where like a high school team did beat a pro women's team.
So none of what we're saying is to be like women are weak or they're not as strong as men, but it's like just the power production difference between a majority of the individuals in each sex. There's a difference there that needs to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
That's why the whole, like, can men transition to being women and compete against women? Like, I mean, obviously I'm not a transgender individual, but at the end of the day, like, no, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to compete against other individuals like yourself, because then that's just not fair. It's, again, like I said, it's fine for men because most men that are at the top or close to the top do not care.
Yeah, the best argument was, I think Rogan was talking about like your skeletal structure, and at the time I don't remember her name, but she was she had just like transitioned, and she was like, well, no, that's bullshit. Like if they become a female, and he's like, boom, puts his fist down on the table. He's like, put your fist up against mine, and like hers was like not even half, and she was like, oh shit, okay, I get what you're saying now.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, just because you transition doesn't mean like your skeleton's gonna become something different. You're still the same like body type, right?
Yeah.
He's like, so no transgender woman should be able to fight other women, and that was, to me, that was the best argument. It was just
Rogan.
like,
Rogan did a whole bit in his comedy routine.
Oh, really?
Where he talks about there was a female being I guess like a security for the White House. And someone ran,
yeah.
Someone ran through the front of the, it happened to be the one time that a female was working, right? Like just shitty odds, probably more so than anything else. And this guy, Rogan, does this thing where he's like running in slow motion. And he's like, I'm going to get shot. 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 He's like, I'm not going to make it any further. I'm going to get shot. And he keeps like playing this thing out and nothing happens, right? And the guy ends up getting to the White House. The door happens to be open and he like knocks this woman over or whatever. And his point wasn't that women are inferior in any way like that. But what he was saying is that there's a huge difference even amongst the same gender. He's like, for example, he's like, do you want me protecting the White House? Or he's like, do you want Shaq? He's like, I think just having Shaq sitting outside,
Yeah.
he's like, I don't think anybody would be messing with any of that. He's like, talking about how much taller and how much bigger he is. And I think, recognizing that between different sexes and different races and stuff, I think it's a healthy thing to recognize that. Odd Hogan, who was on our podcast yesterday, we talked about, Vikings, and right. And then he was like, well, he's like, a lot of Vikings, they had some hardship and they went through some hard times. And so maybe they come from kind of a manual labor background, and maybe because of that, maybe they have big bone strength. He was just kind of, theorizing why we end up with some real strong mutants from that country. But when you look at the history of strongman, or if you look at where Hafthor Bjornsson is from, it's like in Iceland, there's like 300,000 people. But for some reason, that small country keeps popping out some of the strongest people we've ever seen, and some really amazing CrossFit athletes as well. So it's like there's something going on over there. I don't think that's a racist thing to think, or I think
and then those
I
genetics
think it's just like you identify that and like, hey, they're really friggin' good at that.
Yeah.
and then their genetics just keep compiling, because it's like, they just keep refining. The next guy's stronger. So like now Hafthor has a kid. And what's that kid gonna,
Yeah.
And then what genes is that kid passing on, And
You're talking about some stuff that also happened in the U.S. of A.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
All these big ass NFL players.
Yeah.
They had some strong.
Yeah.
They were also kind of manufactured in that way.
yeah.
I love how Ode, right? Not Odd. Ode. Oat. How he put it, he was just like, like black people in the States, like they went through some shit. So if they were able to survive that, he wasn't really saying like they were like, oh, like you're big, you guys make a baby. He was more like, you guys were strong enough to survive this.
Oh, but slave owners did that shit.
I know, but I never heard anybody say it the way he did, which was like, you're strong enough to survive this shit, then yes, you're gonna be naturally gigantic and strong and athletic and whatnot. But it was just really cool. I never heard. Actually, it makes a total sense, and I feel weird that I didn't even think about it. But he was like, "You're strong enough to survive this. Then of course you're gonna be big and strong now. You're gonna have big and strong kids."
Yeah.
I just thought that was really, really cool.
He said it so casually, I think partially due to the fact that he's just from a different country.
Yeah.
He's from a different area of the world.
Well,
where
it gets so
I think
controversial.
I don't think that guy is not coming from a place of trying to say any harmful words or say anything to destroy anybody. He's saying things that he's seen.
Yeah.
And he's just saying like, it's like factual,
Yeah.
Even if he was from here, I don't think there's anything
No,
remotely
no.
harmful of saying
I don't
that.
But
think
you
there's
don't
anything
really
harmful.
hear a
It's
lot
like-
of people from this country talking that way, just because it's like, you talk black or white, it could be hot button topic in 2 seconds.
For
right?
sure.
Right.
Yeah. You were about to say something?
No, I was agreeing with you. I think
Yeah.
that's like, it's something that nobody ever talks about. But yeah, like slaves, they went through some tough shit, and the strong ones survive, right? The strongest ones that can resist disease, a lot of them died coming over here on a boat, right?
Yep.
And so those ones that died were the weaker ones, and the stronger ones, like the strong survive, right?
Stronger
And then,
immune system.
and then they come over here, and then they all meet up and start mating, and
Wasn't there a book on this? Didn't some guy make a book? It's like called The Something Gene or something like
I don't know,
that?
people got
Oh,
fired.
yeah.
Remember back in the day, Jimmy the Greek, he got fired because he said something about
Hey, what's
like
the jack dude, the white running back from the Panthers?
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey. That guy's a freak, but you don't usually see that, right? You don't see that often.
That's why he's such a freak. You
and
see him
and
he's
also
jacked,
like,
and you're like,
I think it might have been a couple Olympics back, but I remember it was like maybe I think it was 100 meter. There was a white dude in it, and I was like, they're not talking, like no one's saying any. They didn't even mention it like until the very end. I'm watching this thing forever. I'm like, they got to talk about this. Does anybody else like see this? And he finished like 4th or 5th or whatever it was. He did really well. But I'm like, no one's saying anything. And then they had a brief mention of it, and they're like, this hasn't happened in the last 50 years. And I'm like, holy fuck, that's crazy.
that's interesting. Yeah.
And
In
a
50
lot
years.
of the best, the guy that broke the marathon record, from Kenya, right?
Yeah,
a lot, you
yeah.
see a lot of
Eliud
people from the
something.
same country, usually,
Yeah, well, Kenya, they have an advantage of elevation. So there's a lot of elevation there. So people running, their bodies are used to it. They don't need as much oxygen, and there's definite advantages to it.
We talk a lot on this podcast about fasting, and we talk a lot about sleep, and you're not good at either one. You're shitty at sleeping. You always say that you have an issue with sleep, right?
Yeah.
And then you don't even really fast, right? But you've made a ton of progress. And so, I try to communicate to people like, hey, it's good to work on your sleep. Like, I suck at sleep too. I'm not very good at it. And when I first messed around with fasting, I was kind of all over the place. I'd overfast and I'd find myself, binging on food and kind of going all over the place. But what I would like to share with people is like, it may not be perfect for you, but you can still make a lot of progress just by sticking to the damn diet.
Oh yeah, I mean, I do fast. I think I probably fast way more than I let on. I mean,
Right.
I hardly ever eat in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's like been totally gone. And
You might automatically fast 12, 14 hours, something like that.
yeah, and then sometimes I'm really hungry in the morning. Like this morning, I'm like, I'm gonna go eat something for breakfast, and then you're like, hey, you want to come on the podcast? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then that's good though, because it's keeping me away from food. Then I'm gonna do Instagram Live for an hour after this, and so I won't eat until like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock anyway. When I was planning on
Yeah.
like going to eat at 9 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
now it's been pushed back, and that's fine. I'm like in my head, I'm like, okay, I know when I'm gonna go eat.
Well, that's exactly what I want to highlight. Even if you do eat throughout the day and you're on kind of a carnivore, keto kick style diet, you're probably going to eventually, especially when you do the diet for a while, and by a while I mean like a year or two, you'll have kind of an accumulation of eating these foods, and you'll have a practice of eating these foods to the point where you might eat in the morning and you might eat at 11 or 12, and then you might not eat again until like 4 or 5 because you're really just not that hungry and you're occupied with work and stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think hunger and loneliness are two things that they're the worst together. So like that's my biggest problem is like when I'm home alone at night,
Yeah.
it's just so easy to like want to eat something, and then like combine that with like not being able to sleep. I've never been able to go to sleep. Like it's time to go to sleep, I just don't want to go to bed. I don't know what it is. I get really tired in the middle of the day and never tired at night.
I hated it as a kid.
Yeah, I'm
When
just
we were
always
told to go to bed, I hated it. I was like,
like-
I want to stay up and see what everybody else is
Same
doing.
here, same
And
here.
even though I fix my sleep a lot, it's still pretty bad. Like I probably sleep, like if I had an Oura ring, I probably sleep 15 minutes a night. You know what I mean? But like I'm just saying like
Well,
real,
deep,
like
yeah,
real
deep, yeah,
deep
deep sleep.
Mhm.
Yeah,
but like
that's
actual
normally
sleep,
what I get a
actual
lot.
sleep, it's only a couple hours because I can't sleep, and then we get up early to train or do whatever, and then like I'll get really tired in the middle of the day. So I'm trying to fix that, and the way I'm trying to fix it is actually just keep staying up longer and making myself more tired and doing
Yeah.
more stuff, and going on walks at night and things like that that'll like tire me out and hopefully make me go just want to fall asleep.
You get up with Mark at like 4 or 5 a.m., right?
A lot of times, not every day,
Yeah.
but we do that a lot. And getting up isn't the problem. It's like going to bed. Going to
Yeah.
bed.
I just
time
want to
do you-
make a quick point too. Like we do train early, but we did get on a kick where we were training super early. But I'm trying to be more conscious of just trying to allow for like 8 hours. So I think you've said before on the podcast, and we've all learned a lot from even just participating in this podcast. You were like, well, just kind of like whenever I go to bed, I get up like 8 hours early. Ron Penna said something similar. So if you go to bed at 9, you just wake up 8 hours early. If you go to bed at 10, you wake up 8 hours, 8 hours later, right? And then same thing with like, it is good to get into a schedule and a rhythm and to try to go to bed at a similar time and try to wake up at a similar time. But I found personally that, that can sway a few hours and I'm still totally fine. I still feel good. So I might have a day where I wake up at 4 and the next day I might wake up at like 5. It's really not negatively impacting me. I might have an hour or two that I go to bed later. Last night I went to bed a little bit later than I would like, but then I can still shift because we didn't work out today until 6 o'clock. So people that are trying to really like, have that feel good thing about waking up in the morning and being like a savage, don't force it. Like don't wake up early on like 4 or 5 hours of sleep because that's not going to have the result that you're trying to get after.
Yeah, even just like 5 years ago, I would have told you that it would be impossible to do what I did last night. It was Kings season opener, first
you
game
go?
of the season. No, it was away, but I was just on TV. But I watched a little bit of the third quarter, but that was only because I was meal prepping stuff to bring here to the gym, and I went to bed. And guess what I missed? Absolutely nothing. They
Yep.
lost by 30 points.
Oh no.
But 5 years ago, I would have watched the whole thing. I would have watched the post game show,
And then you would
like,
have been upset that they lost.
and I would have been mad the whole night. Exactly. And like I said, like I couldn't miss it. Like that was the most important thing ever, right? So now I'm just like,
Progress.
I went to bed early.
Mhm.
I got here pretty early, and had an awesome training session.
My man,
Probably one of the best ones in a while.
that's awesome.
That's great.
But people listening might be like, nah, dude, like not my team. Like you don't understand. Like you're not as big as a fan as I am. Like no,
You
I
start
was.
realizing when you start investing in yourself, those other things, like
Mhm.
investing your time in watching a bunch of grown babies, you know,
Oh, grown
Very accurate. Yeah.
play a sport. You
Yeah.
know, it's you start to go like, wait a second, what am I doing? Why am I devoting all my time to watching this guy
Yeah.
when I could be working on myself? I could be making myself better, and then yourself becomes way more important than some team. And then like,
Absolutely.
what do you get? Even if the Kings win the championship this year, what would you get out of that? You'd be like, yeah, bro, I'm a
Yeah.
Kings fan. And it's like, well, anybody could be a Kings fan. You just got to say that you are. Like, that's
Yeah.
all there is to it. So it's like you realize there's like not a whole lot in it for you. You know, it's
Yeah,
cool to
no,
like
it-
a team, and it's cool
All
to
the
have a
fair
team.
weather fans will pop out too. I've been a Kings fan
Uh,
since 1994, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I can literally say that I've been a Kings fan since birth.
It's great when your team wins. It's exciting, but like to put all your time and effort into something, especially when there's like a million games. You know, it's like
Yeah.
baseball and basketball. There's so many games. Football, I could see investing, football season into that and going,
Yeah.
like,
And
we're gonna
I
go
mean,
hard for a couple months and that's it.
And I used to put so much well, for sure time, but like energy into all these games. Like if they lost, I would have a bad day. If they
Really?
won, dude, a die-hard fan. Like I would go to the Kings rallies when they almost moved. Like I was in like the courtrooms and shit. Like I was there. So like the turn that I made was awesome. But yeah, there's people out there that are listening and being like, nah, I'm not gonna miss this game because I know I can train in the morning, but I can't miss tonight's
This is
game.
pretty bad and pretty nerdy, but I went through a similar thing where I could not miss wrestling when Stone Cold and The Rock were like feuding and wrestling was at its
That
all-time.
was a great time.
Yeah, it was Monday Night Wars, and wrestling was at an all-time high, and you'd
shit
flip
was
back and
good, though,
you'd flip
man.
back and forth, and it's like night.
WCW.
Yeah, WCW was 3 hours, and then Raw was 2 hours. So you had 5 hours of wrestling that you could flip back and forth on.
Yeah.
And so every Monday night, I would be like, I have to be home.
Tuesday mornings at school, I was always late because I was up watching Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, and he was wrestling at the time, and my girlfriend was a wrestler. So
Yeah.
like we were just all so into it.
Yeah.
He was probably the least into it. Like he didn't care that much, but like I was like a super fan. Like I loved it. You
You
know?
think you didn't care that much because you were actually wrestling?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when you actually like do something, or like training as much as Andrew, training as much as yourself, when you're doing something to better yourself, like you just said, you really stop caring about like watching other people do. You don't care about living vicariously through athletes.
That's it. Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
care about.
well-
You're living vicariously through yourself, like by doing something awesome.
And
Yeah.
also, too, you'll probably never say these words again. That guy's got no heart. You'll probably never say that ever again. When you're pushing it in there and you're pushing it in the gym and you're pushing your diet and you're pushing your lifestyle to the limit, and you watch that guy, miss a 3-pointer at the end of the game and he's clearly tired and he didn't do a normal jump shot that he normally would, you're not like, oh, that sucker was gassed, man. Like, he didn't leave it all in the court, because you're thinking, man, like, I know what it's like to fucking feel tired. I don't have any idea what it's like to play a professional basketball game,
Yeah.
but I can only imagine that poor guy is probably half dead. He's in game number 65 of an 82-game season.
Yeah, take one simple martial arts class. Pick your
Yeah.
choice: boxing, jujitsu, Muay Thai. I dare you. Take just one class and then watch a UFC fight and then talk shit.
You have so much compassion.
Dare you? Well, that's because Muay Thai superior.
Oh yeah, that's true. But yeah,
I'm
man.
partial.
Go do something.
Remember
Go do something.
the Ultimate Warrior? He's got that rant that says like you're wearing a jersey, you're sitting there worshiping some other man who's not you, and you're sitting there living vicariously through these guys. You're nothing but a fence-sitting vagina man, is what he says. You're a vagina man.
I need to
look this
up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, you're just a vagina man sitting on the
send it to
fence waiting for somebody else to fucking do it for you. And it's great because
You got Nsima pretty good. He fell down.
And Nsima gets even better because he says vagina like Donald Trump says China.
Oh, yeah.
He's like
China.
Vagina, like he says it's so weird. Vagina man.
You broke Nsima. We're gonna be dealing with
I
this
think
for
it's
the
a
next
combination
hour.
of fence sitting and vagina. You gave him a
Yeah, that's really
you gave
good.
him a
Well, it's a
visual.
real visual of like sitting on a fence with a vagina, and I picture it for some reason in a San Francisco 49ers jersey. I don't know why. Like I picture like a Joe Montana.
Cole,
Hey, we're
Like
6-0, buddy.
a fat guy in a Joe. Yeah, but I picture like a fat guy in a Joe Montana jersey for some reason.
Cole Robinson, our fasting buddy, he was telling me, the snake diet guy, he was like, you want to know why everyone's so fat? He's like, because they're sitting on their cunts all day. I was like, who the hell talks like that? That's amazing.
He talks like that.
Oh, my God. He had me crying when he's talking to him on the
So
phone. all the time.
sometimes like the way somebody says
Yeah.
something is so funny, right?
You almost made me shit my pants, man, because I got to go use the bathroom right now. And when you said fetch shitting vagina, man, my butthole just went.
Oh,
Well, wow, that guy,
oh.
I was like,
He got
oh,
excited
God.
about the
he
fence.
got excited. That
so
and Kai
funny.
Green, right?
I hate when your butthole does that. You got to keep that thing clamped down.
God.
I told you
I know.
that you feel it in. I feel it in my hamstrings because it's taking
So,
everything back there to
Talk
close
about
everything.
learning stuff from this podcast. Probably the most valuable thing I've learned so far is from Andrew. And Andrew said, "Look, man, when you need to take a dump and you have to do like a shit like run, he's like, you can't. First of all, you can't really run. You have to do like a weird walk.
Yep.
But he said the knees have to be bent, like just like you're doing curls in the gym. Like you want to have a soft knee. You're
Oh,
doing
because
lateral,
if you're
lateral
flex-
raises. You want to have like soft knees. Like you don't want to be all stiff, right? And same thing here. Get those soft knees because you have too much impact and you're moving too fast. You're gonna poop yourself.
Yeah, you
That's
don't
so
want-
interesting because my knees are usually like right now. If I were to walk and have to go poop, my knees would be locked out,
No.
and I'd be walking like this.
to
clenching the butt
to keep the
cheeks.
butt cheeks.
Yeah, 'cause
in.
that's
That's a
so-
different technique.
Yeah,
It's you do pull sumo, so
that's true.
you know,
I
okay.
think-
unconventional.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think you need the butt cheeks flexed and the knees bent.
Yeah.
and then you need to kind of.
It's more of like if you're playing defense, you're not locked out, right? You got to be able to move. You got to be
Yeah,
free
I
flowing.
feel
So
you.
it's
To
the
give
same
people a-
thing. You need to be able to like cushion
To
stuff.
give people a good cue, like just so they can practice this at home, is just pretend that you're running with your pants down around your ankles.
Yeah.
That's
you
a
don't
great
want to
one,
have
actually.
you don't want to have too much of a stride. You know,
Yeah.
because otherwise, we
Yeah.
know what's going to happen.
Because if you have to
Floodgates
zig when you're supposed to zag, I mean, accidents.
What I
happen.
learned from this podcast is that your life is great if all your shits are tapered. And that's a great selling point, actually, of the carnivore diet. Because you asked me one time how everything is, but that's one thing I always take away from this is may all your shits be tapered, and like they are, and I feel great.
Sometimes you're always going to wipe, but sometimes you feel like you don't even have to.
It almost feel like a
Like
victory.
that was pretty good,
Yeah.
clean log. I think I had a good split, and I think everything,
Yeah, you maybe want to just take a victory lap.
yeah. And then you check, and sometimes you're wrong. you know,
That'd be pretty bad.
you don't want to really roll the dice too much.
You're
But
typically most definitely wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, because then you get so you use toilet paper, it's fine, and then you get a wipe, and you're like, whoa, where'd you discover all that?
Well, think about it. People used to, eat meat. That used to be what the main thing that people ate,
and then they go take a poop.
and they didn't even have toilet paper.
They didn't even have coffee to help them poop.
Well,
Probably
that's
used leaves.
well.
you
if
know,
they had coffee,
brush.
they would need toilet paper.
Yeah, rub their butt on a tree or something. Or
I
on the
don't know.
grass.
I don't know when like the whole leaves thing came into play. Like I don't know. We have to look that
Well,
up.
I've seen
has
the
to be.
the
I've
history
seen
of
the-
like wiping your ass needs to be looked up.
Well,
Dude,
the
look it up.
design of like toilet paper is from
Look
like
at Andrews
the-
over there.
like,
History of wiping your
There's
ass.
there's a patent on it. Like there's a picture of like what's patented, like the roll is patented and everything. Obviously, like
Why? Like
patent
whoever
runs out
who
after a
came
while.
up with the individual squares.
I don't know, but remember Louis Simmons? He's like, I didn't invent toilet paper, but I'm smart enough to use it.
That's one of the greatest quotes ever.
But like, I feel like people have had to use leaves because, like, when you don't wipe, your butt gets itchy.
No, I know.
Yeah,
but,
so you gotta wipe.
But what if you were just eating meat and then maybe a little bit of vegetables here and there? Maybe. it
Well,
would-
what about
Like I
just,
said, mine are always tapered so good. It's like you feel like you don't need to wipe. I
Hey.
do wipe, obviously, but like
Good.
Well, what about just like digging it out of there and then washing your hands?
Wait, what?
Just dig it like back in the day when it didn't have toilet paper.
Well,
Oh, like
just get the hand in there and just dig it out of there and wash your hands off in some water.
Well,
You're right.
I
I mean,
apologize.
it's
if-
gross, but
yeah, I apologize if this is wrong, but I know Mike Ryan was saying that he got super sick because India. I again.
oh yeah, jaundice.
So
Yeah, Jonathan.
they wipe with, so that you never shake someone's hand with their left hand, because that's the hand that they use
I've
to
heard this
to
before.
wipe, and then that's why people get sick, because they'll wash their hands like they're supposed to, but nails and stuff.
Yeah.
So fecal matter gets in your food, and
Poop is weird. You can't
Well,
wash it out.
Mike Ryan also.
It's hard to wash out. Yes.
Yeah.
Mike
if you got
Ryan-
dookies on your hands, it's gonna smell like that kind of all day.
Mike Ryan shit in the shower and stuffed it down the drain with his foot too. That was his
yeah.
other technique for
They
not
claim
wiping.
to it saves time.
You know, I've actually done that
hasn't.
in the past.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I like no. I didn't actually shit in the shower. I just didn't wipe. Showered. Little flakes came off.
Like
yeah.
showered
No,
after.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had flakes. I've
I
had
don't know. I think Nsima shit in the shower and stuffed
did
it down
not
with his
shit in the
'cause
shower.
stuffing it down with the foot is the grossest part. Like
Sometimes
you
there's a big chunk down there. If it was a big poo, then there's a big chunk on your butthole, and then boom, you wipe it off. It's like you gotta
no,
stomp
I
it down.
definitely have pooped in the shower.
Why?
I have the flu.
Oh, okay.
You
That's
get
it.
a pass. You get
And
a
then
pass.
you kind of like, oh, is that nope? And so it's liquid, right? So it was
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That was
but-
actually that's like
Yeah.
different
But
circumstance.
when I get
still
if
get
I
to
get
say it.
yeah, if I get really sick, that's where I hang out. Is in the shower because I got the double dragon going on. I'm
Yeah.
flying out of the front and flying out of the back, kind of. I don't know which way to turn. It gets really complicated. How does that work too? Because it's normally like not at the same time. It's usually like 2 or 3 days of like diarrhea or 2 or 3 days of puking, and then it somehow switches. It's really weird how that happens, right?
When's the last time you had the flu?
Oh, it's been a long time. It's been a long time
couple
since I've
years.
I've had it once, and it was so horrible. I woke up throwing up out of the bed, and then I went and I shit, and then I threw up again in a bucket, and I was just like, bed bucket, bed bucket.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
tough.
the flu is brutal. I had it a long time. This like I was saying this the other day. It's the only time my dad ever yelled at me. I had what Mark calls the double dragon, and I was like, on the
I like
toilet.
shit on a carpet,
But then
or something, right?
I threw up all over the floor of the bathroom. But then I got up because I was like, oh, I threw up. I got to throw up in the toilet. And I went to throw up in the toilet. So I threw up on top of the diarrhea. And then then it came out the other end. And I pooped all over the puke. And I went back and forth like
Just keep
like
misfiring.
3 times. And my dad's like, what's going on in there? He's like pounding on the door. And I'm like, I'm really sick. And he starts like yelling at me. And then I told him like kind of what happened. And I'm like, I'm cleaning it up. Like, I'm so sick and I'm cleaning it up.
You can't go shitting all over the house.
And my dad thought I was like doing it on purpose. Like I really wanted to make this happen.
Oh god. Oh god.
Phew.
That's the sickest I've ever been, for real. Like I remember that actually. And that was during a war on carbs, like when
Did
we
you
first
have-
started it. But it wasn't because of it. It was like I
Something to look forward to for everybody listening.
No, actually, it was because I still remember it, and I'll never have it again. I've never had it since. Ben and Jerry's peanut butter cup ice cream.
That's good.
I know, but after I ate it, I got sick.
Yeah.
So I just associate it
Okay.
with that.
That
When you
happened to me.
associate something with something?
That happened to me with ham when I was a kid. I threw it up and like I didn't eat ham for like 10 years.
My ex-girlfriend, Lauren, can't eat a roast beef sandwich because she was eating a roast beef sandwich during the scene where the guy rapes the other dude in Pulp Fiction.
Oh,
And so she can't eat roast beef because it makes her sick.
get out the gimp.
Yeah, she was watching it during the GIMP. She was like a little kid,
Yeah.
and she was eating a roast beef sandwich, and the GIMP scene came on, and then she like
That's a good
forever could never eat roast beef.
So it looks like at least Roman times they had a sponge on a stick
Oh.
that they would use to wipe, and
That-
then
That's
they
better
would,
than toilet paper.
then they would just wash it off. Yeah.
Not as good as toilet paper.
I'm not- I
Because like you
definitely don't
wash
wanna
the
u-
sponge.
yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not
want to
gonna use
use
it
your
after
poopy
you-
sponge.
Yeah.
Can I use your poop sponge?
Bro, you done with that?
Yeah.
You're at the
Do
gym.
you
like,
mind if
"Aw,
I use
man."
your loofah?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
And then I
You're
can't-
12.
I
We've been
can't-
going on about poop for a while.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
great.
I know.
Maybe everyone would need their own sponge.
Yeah, I think everyone would need their
It'd
own
be
sponge.
like a toothbrush, right?
But still, reusing and washing that same sponge. I mean, it's better than No, it's not better
So
than
they
anything.
actually make a stick with a sponge on it, and it's for really obese people, and they sell them at the medical supply store. And so like I was going through different medical supplies when I had my hip replacement. I was like,
Yeah,
what is this thing? And I was
You know
like,
what's
that's what it was,
amazing?
a wiper.
You know what's amazing is like somebody's like, yeah, I need to get something for that instead of like I should probably go on a diet.
What about how
Since I
excited?
can't reach my butthole anymore.
What about how excited I was about the sock slipper, the thing that puts
yeah.
your socks on? But like
Well, that
I
was
really,
after you had surgery.
yeah, but I really kind of needed it because I was fat.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
like it helped. I used it just from being fat, like a thing that helps you put your socks
Those
on.
things are great. You can like fish for your foot. You can you put it on. You put the sock on the end of this thing, and it's got these two elastic
It's a
bands on
curvy
it.
plastic piece of
And
plastic.
you throw it, and you like fish for your foot, and then you stick your foot in there, and you go whoop, and it just pulls your sock right on. It's amazing.
I kind of want to go get one
Wow.
right now, just because
That's-
it's so great.
So interesting.
It's so fat. It can't be any fatter.
Uh,
Just put it on there and go whoop.
Well, you know, when you get your hips replaced, you have to have
yeah,
certain
yeah.
things. Like I had to have that, and then I had to have a toilet that was like raised up.
Dude, I totally forgot. You did have your hips replaced.
Both of them, yeah.
No, it's awesome that I don't even remember that shit. I wouldn't imagine that you did.
He used to be
That's-
6'3".
Yeah. That's the, you know, and that's interesting that you say that because like that's my goal.
Yeah.
My goal is to like I always put myself. It's like if you deadlift 700, I still want to try to deadlift 700.
Mm-hmm.
I don't try to go like, well, you know, he's got
Be in
real
some
hips.
handicap category.
Yeah, like I don't put myself in my own category. I just
Yeah.
try to go like, well, I'm just gonna try to go against the best guys, and you know, if I come up short, then I'll say I have fake hips. then I'll be like, well, I got fake hips.
Ah, my fake hip, bro.
No, but you know what I mean? Like you want to compare yourself to the best people. And a lot of people say, well, don't beat yourself up because, you know, you've been through a lot. And I'm like, I've been through a lot, but it also so have
So has
other people.
everybody else.
Yeah, so have other people. Other
Yeah.
people have had it way harder than me.
I think that's
Yeah.
a hard thing to do. Is like, you know, people want to compare their scars. You know, you don't understand like where I came from.
Yeah.
Things are harder where I came from. It's like, well, maybe they were, but it's all similar now, and you're an adult, and you got to be a functioning part of society, and like this is the way all this works.
Yeah.
You know, you still have to be a good person, and you still have to figure out a way to function day to day.
No,
Yep.
kind of related, but you know, Kobe, he had a finger. I think it was his maybe his right pointer finger. He broke it once,
Ooh.
and then it went like literally for the rest of career. He could turn his finger every which way, but he
Oof.
never really talked about it. But think about like still how great his career was,
yeah.
even that like how he had to shoot with that effed up finger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he wasn't out here talking about, oh, my finger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just fucking
Well, if
worked
I had
through
a good finger, I maybe
Yeah,
have
right?
like
Never
20
made
more
that
points.
excuse.
Yeah.
Never made that excuse.
Yeah, it's similar, but not the same sport. But Ronnie Lott, his pinky, because he
Oh,
would hit so
got it-
hard,
Got it cut off.
he just said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna cut
It
it
got
off."
stuck
so I
in somebody's helmet, I think, in a face mask. And they had
Really?
to cut a piece
One
of
of
it
his
off.
one of his teammates like threw up and like passed out
Mhm.
because he
Wait.
saw it.
Wait, what? How did it come off?
He smashed his face mask to somebody else's face mask.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it just
Ooh.
got really mangled. And he
It
was
got
like,
really
just-
mangled and they had to cut it off.
He's like, just chop it off, and they
Yeah.
taped him up, and I think they saved it, and I
So
think
it-
they may have sewed it back on.
It looks like it seriously does look like ET. Like it's yeah. So he's like, I got to look at that now, and it's like all because I just wanted to keep playing hard.
Yeah. Shoot.
Yeah,
There we go.
that's all I could remember for as far as
He's from USC. Those
thinking.
guys from USC are badass.
Uh-huh.
They're tough people over there.
Yeah.
Those Trojans. Let me tell you.
He used to
Mhm.
knock the shit out of people.
Dude,
Tell
Ronnie
us
Lott's
more
sick.
about this diet, because sometimes it gets complicated. We got a lot of people sharing information out there, and there's a lot of great people that are well-meaning, but I think sometimes it gets a little
I
complicated.
just posted
Like,
today. I think
what
it's
do you
really
eat?
it's really simple. So it's like it's basically like red meat, you know, mainly steak at the center of it. So it's
If you didn't like red meat, could you eat other meat?
yeah, you could eat any meat basically. Red meat. So I put this actually on my Instagram post that I just posted. It has pretty much everything you need in the most bioavailable forms, like between meat and eggs. You know, you pretty much have everything that you're going to need. Even if you just ate red meat, I mean, we've seen people live 20 years on just ribeyes, and so we know that it can be done. And my philosophy, you know, being along with you guys is basically fast as long as you can. So that's kind of what I do in the morning. Now I do use like coffee and stuff like that because I don't count that. I'm not going to be I don't go so far into it that I'm like, well, you can't even have water. I'll have coffee with some cream. I try to have like under 100 calories, right? So coffee with some cream, it's probably about 100 calories, or maybe with some MCT powder. I always use the Perfect Keto MCT powder in coffee. I think that's the best thing, and it's not dairy. So if people have problems with dairy, it's a perfect thing. But sometimes I'll mix the MCT powder and a little heavy cream, and that tastes even
Oh,
better.
That's really good.
It's really good, and it's also like pretty easy on your stomach.
It's like
The
a
thing-
dessert.
The thing about heavy cream is it doesn't have casein protein in it, and casein protein might be what's inflammatory for a lot of people. Casein or whey may be inflammatory for some people. So when they're cutting dairy, usually like things like butter and cream don't matter. So I eat red meat. I have cream in my coffee. I have a little MCT powder. Every once in a while, and I hate to even say it because like it is once in a while, I'll have like some nuts or some nut butter, you know, things like that are just like little treats. Sometimes I'll eat some pork instead of eating steak, but it's really steak. And then like the fast food thing, I like going to In-N-Out, and I like going to Five Guys. I think I've done like enough patty wars to know that I think Wendy's and Five Guys are probably like my favorites to go to. I'm not sure which one though yet, but
have you been to Habit Burger though?
Yeah, I've been to Habit.
What do you think?
It's okay.
With the grilled onions though?
With the grilled onions though? Like,
Yeah, because
no.
that's how I get it. So far, that's right now. That's my favorite.
Habit.
Habit Burger.
There's
with
one right
grilled
by
onions.
right by the Dutch Brothers up in Dixon there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
check
you
it
off.
out.
It's just I've been on this habit kick lately.
Yeah.
Habit.
There's so basically I'll do, if I go to like Wendy's or Five Guys or whatever, I just get like 3 patties, you know, and I just eat like that.
Get any cheese with it or just
I
patty?
usually get cheese, and that's funny because like
Yeah, we had a conversation about the other day because like if you cut something out, sometimes just to
cut
like
the cheese.
sometimes just to throw something out of your diet just eliminates a lot of extra calories. So for some people that really love to eat a bunch of cheese, it might be a good idea just to get rid of it for a little while, because trying to cut back on it's going to be hard. I think just completely get rid of it for a little bit and just see what difference it may make.
Yeah.
Okay?
And the so what I've done though is like I've cut way back on cheese. So if I go to In-N-Out, I'll get like one Flying Dutchman. So it's got some cheese. It's got 2 slices of cheese. That's actually enough cheese though to cover like a bunch of patties. So then I'll get like a bunch of patties. I'll get like 5 patties and then 1 Flying Dutchman, and then I'll smash that all together and just eat that. And it's really good like that.
Okay.
What do
And-
you so you've been on this diet for a long time. What do you eat that you don't like?
Nothing. No, I love
You love
everything.
all the options that you have.
Yeah, I love everything. I only use, really only use Piedmontese beef. And more recently, this is actually really interesting. And this is not an advertisement for Piedmontese, although
But it is.
I do love them.
But it is.
Yeah. So, but seriously though, I went to Costco and I paid $25.99 or whatever it was, or $20.99, something like that, $21.99 for ribeyes that were prime ribeyes from Costco, which I used to post on my Instagram and say, this is the best steak I've ever had.
Yeah.
I went there and I bought 4 of them, and I you know, over 4 days or 3 days, whatever, I cooked them all up. They don't even come close to what Piedmontese is. And I cooked these in my cinder grill. I sous vide'd them. I seared them. I tried it like different ways because there was 4 of them. And just the fact that like a Piedmontese steak, you could take and sear it, and it's so tender that you can just cut through it almost with a fork.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's more tender and it's leaner than a lot of the other steaks out there. Andrew, we might as well plug it. Say, you know, how do
Absolutely.
they get 25% off?
Yeah, you guys need to head over to Piedmontese.com. That's PIEDMONTESE.com. At checkout, enter promo code Power Project. That'll get you 25% off what Chris just talked about, what we always talk about. It's somehow it's leaner, it's more tender, it tastes better. I will put their New York strip against anyone's ribeye. That's how good it is. Like it doesn't make any sense, man. Like it's delicious. You guys seriously need to try it. We're not just gassing you guys up. It's that
I'll
amazing.
be at the
Free shipping on over $99.
Attaboy.
this
Thank
is
you.
how much I believe in it. So I'm working with these guys on several levels.
They got grass-fed beef as well.
I introduced them to Dr. Baker. I introduced them to Stan. I think Stan posted the other day that he's using them in his Monster Mash, because I thought,
Ooh.
like, well, what would be better than to get Stan in cahoots with them? So remember that day when Stan came over your house and I just handed him a steak? It seems so weird, right? Like, hey, buddy, here's
Instead
a
of
steak.
a business card.
Yeah, and Stan's like, great, whatever. But then he went home and he ate it.
Yeah.
He's like, Boar, that steak was amazing. I go, I
Yeah.
told you, like, that's all I want to hear. He's like, that was so tender. It was so good. I go, yeah, but it only has like 2 grams of fat. If you chop that up and put it in rice with a Monster Mash, he's like, that's what I did. It was already so good, right? So like, that's what he's making. So I
Yep.
think like that's the goal, is like, let's get this beef, out to more people because it's really healthy and it's just so good.
It
That's
really is.
the way I look
Need
at
a
it.
Piedmontese restaurant.
Guys are
man.
out here trying to make me hungry.
We need to talk to our guy,
Hop Dotty.
our Hop Dotty guy, get him involved.
Yeah,
Maybe we should do that.
I have a company that wants to make grills for them, so we'll see.
Oh, sweet.
I know. It's kind of amazing. But yeah, my 11-year-old daughter loves everything I make from Piedmontese. To me, that's how you know
Yeah.
something's great.
Yeah.
Just like the Quest bars, like, here, have this.
Oh,
and
what
they
I
love
wanted
it.
to mention about them that I think is really cool. So I have some steaks for you too, buddy. You'll see.
What?
No, I have
Oh,
filet.
yeah. They sent some special stuff.
They sent grass-fed, grass-finished filet mignons that like they're so
Yeah.
good. I'll bring you one too, buddy, because your eyes just
They
lit up
sent
like
me
crazy.
something.
And
sent
Nsima
me-
wants one.
They sent me something that came in like a fancy package, and it said like
Dynasty selection.
Dynasty Selection. I was like, what's going on? A Dynasty
So
Selection?
you got the dynasty selection.
Dynasty selection's a
I
little
didn't
bit
actually.
better.
I heard about it through somebody else.
I didn't
Yeah.
get a Dynasty collection.
So
The Dynasty collection's like it's weird. It's like their version of Prime,
Oh my god.
and it's a little bit more tender, and it's actually leaner, which is crazy. It's like the ribeye has like 1 gram of fat in it or
What?
something.
How does it?
It's
I
crazy.
don't get it. That's
I'm
crazy.
confused.
They don't marble, so there's no fat. Like once they cut the fat around it. But what I like about them is you can get a regular ribeye. Like if you're on carnivore, a lot of people listening are probably like, screw that, I want a lot of fat. If you're on carnivore and you get a regular ribeye, right, not the center cut ribeye, this actual regular ribeye, it has 30 grams of fat and like 70 or 80 grams, I think 80 grams of protein and 30 grams of fat.
That's still an
That's
awesome
a
ratio.
great ratio for somebody bodybuilding,
yeah.
right? Because it's not too much fat, but it's a great amount of fat. And then if you want more fat, like I do, I'll put butter on that, and that's so good. I would rather put butter than have more beef fat. Like I like the taste of butter on it.
I agree with you.
I'm getting to a weird point, man. I actually just was eating butter yesterday, like with my steak. I didn't even have it on my
Nope,
steak. I
it's
was
not a
just
weird
it was a-
point. I
it
do
was a
it.
side.
sitting
That's
there.
what
I
I.
was like, oh, this is so good.
That's kind of what I do every day. Was it the butter that April got you?
Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
butter's legit.
So
oh god.
this is how messed up our family is. I go over Mark's house in April, who's Mark's sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Pulls out a thing of butter. She's like, I was at the farmer's market and I bought you this butter because it's so awesome.
She's like, I heard it's amazing. So she was all fired up. She got me a big
but
thing of butter.
that's like how our family is now. They're keto.
Mhm.
You know, they do mostly carnivore, and it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
kind of
she's
cool.
been able to lose a lot of weight. My brother-in-law's
They-
lost a lot of weight.
They just look amazing now.
The
Like,
cool thing
they-
is everyone's kept it off.
That's awesome.
That's the hard part. It's
Yeah.
like for people to have it be sustainable. Do you feel like there's enough food options? Like you feel like you got enough?
there's plenty of food options. And then, like I said, like with our family and the way everybody loves to cook and
Yeah.
eat, we have fun, man. I think, like, I don't know, we went to a restaurant last night. I ordered steak on a plate. You know, everybody else ate what they ate, mostly keto. But I just ordered a steak on a plate. I had no problem with it. The lady that I ordered it from had a problem with it. She's like, you can't just eat that. I'm like, that's all I eat. Don't worry about it. Steak
Yeah.
on a plate and a sparkling water. And I'm on a little bit of a stricter plan right now because, like I said, no carbs till November. I'm trying to be really strict until then. And so, you know, to me, I like that stuff. I actually like being a little bit weird when I go somewhere. And I like the opportunity when a lot of times it presents itself. Like we were at an airport. And I think maybe Andrew was with us. I want to say I don't know who was with.
Was
me
it that epic time we ate like 4 times because we were
we
stuck?
Ate, yeah, we ate like 4 times, I think. But we ate at like a Hard Rock Cafe, and it gave us the opportunity. I think Mark
We
gave
ate
her
there twice.
gave this girl even the War on Carbs
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
But it gave an opportunity to talk about the diet. So you order steak on a plate, and the waitress, who, you know, definitely wanted to lose some weight, was like, why are you guys doing that? I don't get it. That's weird. And you tell her why, and you tell her about carbs, and you tell her, well, you don't have to eat all meat, but you can go on a war on carbs. And then, well, what's that? Oh, here's a book. You know, next thing you know, it's like these people are following you. You know, I met a woman in Burger King the other day, and I was on Instagram Live, and she was like, hey, it's Ebony from Burger King. What's up? You know, I'm doing the diet. Like,
Yeah.
that's so fucking cool. I met her at Burger King. I ordered a Whopper or double Whopper or whatever with, you know, no bun.
Yeah.
And she's like, what are you doing? Like, what? You know, she was just like, what the hell is this? You know, and then it gives me an opportunity to talk to her. She's like, well, I could lose some weight. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's really easy to do, you know, and I
Yeah.
just told her about it. So she's doing it. I love that.
Yeah,
That's
it was
crazy.
it was pretty funny because everybody at the table. I think Chris probably was like, let me get the double cheeseburger, no bun, and then no fries or whatever it is, and then the next person like, let me get the exact same thing. Then the next, like, okay, what's going on here? how come nobody's getting the bread? And it's like, well, this is
Yeah.
why. And then
This is a war on carbs.
yeah, and then Mark literally pulled the book out and gave it to her. She's like, huh.
Mhm.
And, you know, it was
Yeah, and who knows if she ever
right.
took it or anything. But like I said, I do get a lot of feedback from some people. There's people that I met at the Arnold that I talked to for like a minute. They're like, bro, you inspired me so much when I met you and blah, blah, blah. Remember me? And you're always like, yeah, sure. But
It's
a lot of
tough.
times you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Um,
the last time you were on here, I told you somebody from Dublin DM'd me and said that they were at McDonald's, got, you know, just the meat patties, and the guy taking the order was like, Bell Brothers, huh? Fist bump. It's like, dude, that's in Dublin, Ireland, not California.
crazy.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah.
So you gave us a rundown of some of the stuff that you eat. Sounds like there's a lot of steaks, a lot of burgers. There's some cheese in there. There's some butter. There's coffee. You probably have like bacon and some other things here and there.
A little bit of bacon here and there. I like pork belly. I think that's a great thing to eat.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, I was doing like, you know, other stuff like yogurt, protein shakes, different things like that. I find that the more I stick to red meat and water, like if I really want to be, my goal is to just kind of get rid of all my body fat and then figure out what to do, you know. But my goal really was to get rid of all my jiggly body fat. So now if I jump up and down, nothing jiggles except for my pecs, which are muscle.
Oh yeah. Let those jiggle.
Mostly muscle. Let those jiggle.
in
Yeah.
slow motion.
But seriously, like that, I didn't want to
wait, what?
be. I didn't want to be like have loose, jiggly
yeah.
fat, and
Yeah.
it's pretty much gone. And now it's just like it's extra skin. There's obviously some fat there, but like I was showing you today, now I can like push it in and it'll stay in because it's oxidizing. It's going away.
Yeah.
Andrew, what happened in our workout today?
For the first time, I seriously felt like I belonged. I'm being
Oh, took his shirt off.
totally honest.
Okay. What was different?
Mark took his shirt off, as you know, it happens pretty consistently.
Yes, all the time.
Chris is Jack, so he had his shirt off, and Mark's like, "Come on, buddy, pop that
I
top
said
off."
shirts or skins. I was
That's
like,
right,
I was
yeah.
like, you're part of the crew, man. I was like, you got to take the shirt off.
I think I actually
Right.
took my shirt off first, and then he took his off and
Got
made you
it.
take yours off.
Yeah, and so I took it off, and
Because I was trying to pose.
I didn't feel
So-
like everyone was staring at the little skinny
The chub.
chubby guy.
Why am I still not in this text chain?
Because you're jacked, and if you take your shirt off, you're gonna embarrass us all.
Here-
Then we'll all have to leave.
Here's just one of the reasons. You had an opportunity to meet us for a walk at 5 a.m,
And I chose to get 8 hours of sleep.
and he chose.
Is
to...
this a speech?
No, not a
Get me in
speech.
on this chain. I want to work out with you guys in the morning.
I don't know, man.
All right,
No,
you-
man.
It'll be different.
There's a whole committee. I told you I can't just let you in. Like if I had that power.
Wait. Who's working out in the morning? It's you,
Mhm.
Chris,
Mhm.
Mark,
Mhm.
Sean,
Wayne,
Wayne,
Tom, sometimes.
Tom. Is there a thread here? Is there a common thread?
Well, that's not fair. 'cause, like in general, right now, if you walked out into the gym on a regular training day,
Are you saying it's
I'm
ra-
messing around.
Are you saying it's
I'm
racist?
No, that's not what I was saying.
Okay.
Just everyone's over 30.
Okay. Perfect.
We have Josh
no,
Kim.
Tom's not over.
I was trying to save y'all.
Tom's
like,
like-
why don't you just go with it?
Just
Yeah,
go with it.
Josh Kim gets in on it too, but he's always traveling, so
Oh, yeah,
it's
we
been
got-
weird lately.
Yeah, we got a Mexican and an Asian. Come
Hey,
on.
wait, no, I'm happy
We're not-
for you, dude.
We're not racist.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was cool. And then Mark shot video, and I was watching it, and that's the first time I've ever seen myself train with the shirt off.
Mm-hmm.
So I naturally did the thing that you're supposed to do when you. I sent it to my girl to get get everything going.
Oh yeah, get everything going. He's like waiting to get home tonight. He's like,
Yeah.
all right, here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, like I'm being totally serious. Like I felt like I fit in. Like I was like, ooh, I do have something. Like as Mark was commenting on my shoulder definition and stuff, and I'm like, this is cool, man. Like I see why you train with your shirt off, because it's like, oh, what's that? Like you get excited. Like I don't know how many extra sets of like dumbbell curls. Like it was really
To
cool.
try to explain the shirt off thing, I think that, of course, like when you build up a body that you're proud of, you're going to pop your shirt off and kind of check things out and do a little survey of your body. And so sometimes it's that. But for me, starting out, especially, coming from the other gym that we were at previously, the other location that we had, I originally popped the shirt off because I knew that I wasn't in the shape I wanted to be. I was like, this is going to make me feel, I've seen a lot of CrossFitters do it, and I was starting to implement some workouts outside. And first of all, it was hot out. So I'm like, let me get some sun, let me get jacked and tan at the same time. But then it kind of became a thing of like, I am totally uncomfortable with my shirt off around all these people, and I couldn't feel any fatter, even though I knew at the time I wasn't like quote unquote fat, but I'm like, I got a lot of fat on my body that I don't want here anymore. So if I'm gonna take my shirt off here and there in the gym, and that's gonna kind of be an accountability hammer for me. Like that's gonna be something that's gonna sit there, and when I take my shirt off next week, I don't want to have the same feeling. I want to feel a little bit better. And when I take the shirt off the week after, and so on, I'd like to have a progression. And at this stage, I would like to be able just to pop my shirt off whenever and be like, hey, like I, look like I train. I look fit, and I look the way that, even beyond looking fit, I look the way that I want to look, right? And so that's a lot of times what it's about. It's not really like, hey, like I'm more ripped than everybody. It's not like showing off. It's more catering to my need to figure out a way to continue to get better.
Yeah, when I first started, that was literally the goal. Was like I just want to look like if somebody sees me, like, oh, that guy probably does hit the gym. And when you guys saw me, Chris right away was like, whoa, like you have a physique now. Like,
yeah. I was like, well, you got a physique under that. I didn't know.
Like,
that.
whoa, like it's it's the first time that's ever happened.
I was like honestly, and this isn't a bad thing because I didn't think you looked terrible or anything, but I just thought you with your shirt off, you look way better than I thought you were gonna. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like that. I thought it was gonna look like, oh, it's a mess, but I was like, wow, like Andrew looks fucking good. Like all that shit's working,
Yeah, well, just like anybody who's not happy with their physique, they will cover it up as much as they can, right? And that goes on big and small. So and I've been
it's
on
a
the smaller
weird
side.
it's a weird thing because you'll see now that you took your shirt off in front of people, you'll see you kind of become, you kind of become the other way. You're like, what do I need a shirt for? I'm in good shape. I feel good. Feel good about myself. It's a feeling. It's not a like Mark said, it's not showing off and it's not bragging. You feel good. You're like, let me just take my shirt off. Like it feels good to be. You feel free.
It's
Yeah.
motivating.
Like you bought your freedom.
It's extremely motivating.
It's
Yeah.
motivating to see your delt when you're doing a movement, and if you're doing like lateral raises and you're like in a big old hoodie or something, you're not really seeing it. Now you might be excited because you're feeling it, and you might be like, this feels good, or this is what I want to be doing, but it's cooler when you're wearing like a tank top and you can actually see the muscles moving around and you're like, damn, that's shaping up pretty good the way I wanted it to.
Yeah, I kept like just wanting like, what are we gonna do next? What are we gonna do next? Like,
Shoulders.
it's like I don't know, getting like a new something, like a new video game or something. Like, oh, let's see where this goes next.
Next thing you know, you're gonna be podcasting with no shirts on. All you guys being here.
Why don't we just do that?
We should do it with no pants.
Oh, can I get a hey
We
now?
did it with. Remember we did it with
The
Wayne.
Congo episode.
Me and Wayne
Yes.
did it,
You, Wayne,
guys did
and
a shirtless
Sean.
podcast?
Yeah, we called it
Oh,
the
and Sean, I think.
Power Bear Project.
Power Bear
Why-
Project.
Why have I not seen this? Was it a long time ago?
I don't think it surfaced, but I have it recorded.
It's
I
weird.
didn't
We
even
were just
surface.
messing around, and it ended up going for like 25 minutes.
Oh man.
I think we were just I think we were all here and just Mark was coming in to podcast with us, and then it was just supposed to be a staged photo with all of them with their shirts off,
Yeah.
and then I was like,
All hell broke
I'm
loose.
just gonna turn this on, and I hit record, and that was it.
That should be a thing. Every single guest that comes on the podcast, we all have to be shirtless.
There now.
That could be
Yeah,
pretty cool.
we only have dudes on anyway.
We'll put that
so-
onto a vote later on.
So you told us pretty much what you eat. Are there any like weird snacks? I know you've told me about like keto bricks, and maybe you have some other like. Do you have any like treats or
Dude,
sweet things here and there?
yeah, like that's the thing people don't understand. Like when you say, what do you get to eat? What do you like? What do you like about your diet? And what do you not like? There's nothing that I don't like. There are some things, and so people need to understand that because of like a couple of things, like I don't want to order like 1,000 keto bricks and keep going through them. But so I'll get a bunch of keto bricks and like maybe just have them for like a week out of the month.
It's literally like a giant protein bar looking thing that just has a bunch of fat. It's made with cacao butter.
Yeah, they're really,
got-
really good. But like what
It
I'm
has
saying
some
is like
different flavors and stuff
they're
like that.
1,000 calories, so I just account for them. And like when I get them, they're so good that I want to eat one every day. Like I want to literally eat one every day. So I go, okay, for this week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 91 grams of fat from a keto brick, and there's pretty low carb. There's like 12 grams of carbs in one, but they're mostly fiber. It's like 8 grams of fiber, and then there's like a little bit of protein in it. So I don't even count the protein. I don't worry about it. It's like pea protein anyway.
Interesting.
I just count it as like, okay, here's 1,000 calories, right? Now, where are my other 1,500 calories or whatever number we're shooting for going to come from?
Yeah.
Well, it's just going to come from steak. So it's basically like on the days when I have a keto brick, it's like 2 steaks and a keto brick, and we're there, and that's it. And then, on other days when I don't have it, maybe it's like 2 steaks and some burgers or whatever.
What about
right?
drinks? We mentioned coffee. Anything in the drinks or just water?
I like Gatorade Zero a lot. I know a lot of people talk about like aspartame and problems with that, and there might be some people that have some issues with like aspartame or
But I've
acetylene
also
or-
kind of seen you, and you're not really drinking those like all day long. They're just like if they're around, you have one, you grab one.
Yeah,
here and there,
we
right?
have them at the gym sometimes, and I also buy them. I'll buy them like when I'm out or something because I look at it this way. There used to be this thing where people would say drink 6 to 8 glasses of water a day, and it's mandatory. Like I remember, I've been in nutrition classes and different things where people are like it has to be water, and I'm like, well, and I never got it. I'd be like, well, what about like iced tea? It has water in it. They're like, no, because it has caffeine. It'll take water out. And I would always hear these things. And like nowadays, people just say, listen, drink until you're not thirsty. And it can be any liquid. Basically, like I've learned you can subside on any liquid. So I don't really worry too much about what I drink. other
Cole
than,
Robinson pointed out
just
that
don't have sugar in it.
he thinks a lot of people drink way too much water. People
Yeah.
are like addicted to it. People walk around with a gallon all the time.
The thing is, like, I don't like water. I don't like drinking water, so I don't drink a lot of just water. But what I do is I always buy those La Croix, and I actually like
Fancy.
my favorite one is just one called Pure, which is just water. And it's just water in a can, and it's easy for me to like just chug a can of that and be like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, I got some water in, and I like that, and I like to have that at my house. So and it's convenient because it comes in like a little box. It's just easy to carry. If I go you get a thing of like Perrier and San Pellegrino weighs 5,000 pounds, and I gotta like lug that around. So I just get these little La Croix things, and I throw those in the fridge, and I usually have some Zevia also, and I switch on and off, so I don't drink that much soda, And not that the soda I even think would be bad if I did drink 100 of them, but like I just, it's got stevia in it, it's got other things. So I try to have the least amount of ingredients possible with everything that I do. So if I'm eating a steak, it's steak and salt, steak, salt, water. Like that's a good idea. Then like steak, salt, water with a little bit of stevia in it and a little flavoring. Like that's probably not that bad.
I use a product called Keto Vitals, and that's from a friend of ours who started his company kind of
Isaac.
based off of like following us and being inspired by the podcast and stuff like that. And it's just a powder. I scoop it in. It's just electrolytes. It's like potassium, sodium, magnesium. Maybe there's some calcium in there.
Tastes good, though, right?
But yeah, it tastes good. It's just they have lemon, they got mango. Just sometimes you're just like annoyed that you just got to keep drinking water, and you don't want to only have water. Sometimes I'll add some lemon to a Pellegrino or something like that. It's just it's a real game changer. Just add a little bit of something sweet to it.
Do you guys know if is there any drawbacks to drinking just straight up sparkling water?
No. Not really. Some people say like that the bubbles can like leach calcium and all that. But
Some people say it's not great for your teeth, I've heard. But
I mean, if you're really worried about, it's like that becomes such micro stuff.
No, because that's all we drink in the house. We just get the it's like a 24-pack from Costco.
Of which one?
It's just plain, I don't know, like in-store brand sparkling
Kirkland.
water. What's that?
Kirkland.
you can
it's a little
you
different, but
can
yeah.
also like soda your water as well.
Yeah.
For pretty inexpensive. Like it's not super
You
expensive.
buy one of
get
those little soda makers.
little
Yeah.
machines. Do you already have a filter?
Yeah, so we've been contemplating getting one of those because we drink them so much. Like it's to
That's not
us, it's
bad.
a treat. Like even again, like back to my daughter, like she drinks that and she enjoys it. So I'm like, shit, dude, we're good parents for that one. 'Cause
Yeah.
she doesn't drink soda; she drinks just plain sparkling water.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever tried the snake juice that Cole talked about?
I want to.
Yeah, I
You
have.
should.
I
That's
have,
what I
yeah,
drink. I
yeah.
have like a bit of that every single day, especially when I fast.
Yeah.
You just make it yourself.
Yeah, you just make it yourself.
Okay.
Buy the ingredients.
Is that
off of Amazon.
unflavored? It's just
Yeah, but it's just water, potassium, some I think sodium chloride, sodium bicarbonate, and something else. But yeah, it's pretty much you just mix together. It's 2
Yeah,
liters.
there's
It's easy.
potassium and there's just baking soda, right?
Baking soda, sodium bicarbonate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's easy. Yeah.
you find that it's easier to fast when you have that.
Not necessarily, but I just do that just because of like the amount of cardio that
Yeah.
I do. So I want to make sure that I'm continuously, along with like the Perfect Keto electrolytes. I want to make sure that I'm continuously getting that in because I sweat a lot.
Yeah.
And I've been liking that a lot. One thing you might want to try, and you might get addicted to it, but I hope not. It's called sparkling ice. You may have seen it before.
Oh,
I
I've
know
seen
sparkling
those.
ice.
Yeah, those are pretty good.
Yo, Yeah.
Yeah, those are good.
They're kind of too good.
Yeah, they don't have any carbs in them.
They have no calories in them.
Yeah.
You know, and they're they're really freaking
Yeah.
good.
There's
So-
one that's if people like apple juice, it's called apple crisp,
Yep.
and it actually tastes exactly like apple juice. Like
Yes.
exactly, it's
We're
crazy.
not, we're not afraid of some artificial sweeteners here and there.
No, I don't mind that stuff. I mean, I don't think it messes with your fat loss.
Yeah.
Mainly, you know, I'm in this for though like health and getting rid of arthritis and feeling good.
Mhm.
And so I do think that some of those, you know, the
They could
less
cause problems.
yeah, the less ingredients, the less inflammation
I feel you on that.
you're most likely going to have. Who knows? You
Mhm.
know.
I would also say that if you're trying to start a diet, I think removing some of that stuff would be a good idea.
Yeah.
And then to have it be sort of a treat and to limit it, just so you can get on the right path.
Well, I think even like going back to like starting a carnivore diet, I think you should be dogmatic at first, and you should be, you know, like, hey, look, I'm just going to have red meat and water for like at least 2 weeks. Because a lot of people start out and they start out eating exactly like I am. Well, I'm just going to hop on Chris's diet. I'm going to have some nut butter. I'm going to have some Zevia. I'm going to, like, no. Fucking start with red meat and water.
Yeah.
Start there. And then once you feel good, like after a couple weeks and you feel like, okay, I'm getting the hang of this, then you can maybe add some other stuff in. But I think just jumping in and adding all the stuff in is probably not a good move because you're not eliminating anything. So part of the reason why the diet works is you're eliminating all the junk. So like, let's get rid of it all first and see how we feel. And then kind of move forward into seeing if we can add some other things in, see how we feel, see if it affects our body composition, and see if it affects the way we actually feel physically and mentally.
First, like 10 to 14 days, too, when you're trying something, don't really be focused on losing weight. After that point, if weight loss is the goal, I think that you should be weighing yourself every day, and you should be progressively losing a little bit of weight pretty much every single week. You pointed out, like, the different foods that you eat. You know, we got that down. How do you implement this? How does somebody implement this? Somebody's listening right now and like, holy shit, like, I don't think I can do that. That seems way too hard. Does it come easy to you? Was it hard? Have you failed? Have you messed up? Like, how long has this all taken?
I think just one meal at a time. Yeah, it's just like that's the way I look at it. It's just like sobriety, you know. When I got sober and had to make it through every day without booze, you know, it's one day at a time. Like let's make it through today. And so when you start thinking with that mentality, you're like, oh, all I got to do is make it to today, and then it's like, well, tomorrow you got to do the same thing, but you don't think that way. You know, you don't frame it in that way. You're like, if I can only make it through today, and then it's like, okay, you made it through today. Then when you wake up and you say the same thing the next day, and you just keep doing it, and it becomes habit. And
So
like,
if I said you got to be a 10 out of 10 for the next 3 years to be able to make the progress that Chris made, someone was going to be like, holy shit, man, like there's just no way I can't do it, right? But if you said, I want you to try to be, for the first 2 weeks, I would like you to try to be meal from one meal to the next, try to be a 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 in terms of like your selections, right?
yeah,
Just take it one meal at a time, and hopefully over a period of time you build up. And if you mess up, you're always one meal away from getting back on your plan.
yeah, I think that's a really interesting way to put it. You're only one meal away. So a lot of times on this diet, even when I did keto at first, like swore, okay, I'm going to do keto. And then within like 3 days after being in ketosis, I went off the deep end, and I was in my car hiding from Lauren because she was on keto too. And I ate a bunch of Starbursts.
This
You
is
know,
so fat. I love
because like I was like, man, I'm craving sugar so bad. And I told her it was like 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, I just got to go to the gas station, put some gas in my car so I don't have to do it in the morning. She's like, okay, you know, because she's all nice. And I'm like, I left and I went and got a bunch of Starbursts and just started killing them. And then went back inside like nothing happened. Like, all right, see you later. Good night. You know, and then the next day I felt so guilty about it. But that's the thing. It's like I fell off, I got right back on.
Yep.
I'd fall off, I'd get right back on. And so I've fallen off of this so many times, even recently, even like within the past 3 months, where like I told you, I went on a 3-day bender of eating Ben and Jerry's. It's not necessarily like a binge because I know enough now. And so I know that like if I'm going to have Ben and Jerry's and it's 1,300 calories, I know it all boils down to calories at the end of the day. I know the reason why I lost weight is because I was eating less calories. But I also
Mm-hmm.
know the reason why I was eating less calories is you can't eat that much meat. It's fucking hard. It's like really hard to eat so much that you're going to
Kind of
overeat.
forces you to eat less
And
calories.
I do think if we did a study, head-to-head study on keto, carnivore, and everything else, I believe that you can eat more calories on a carnivore diet, and I believe you can eat more calories on a ketogenic diet that's very low in carbs than you can when you're eating carbs. Just
I
because
think there's some small proof to that, and
I've eaten,
by more, it's not a crazy amount from my understanding. And then also, in terms of protein, it has been proven that you can eat.
yeah,
That like Ron Penna kind of broke this down for us in his research and the research that some of the people have done at Quest Nutrition. They think that protein it should not even have a caloric
Load. Yeah.
yeah. Mark
representation.
Sisson says the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like it burns itself pretty much. It basically,
Right.
it's already like
So if
causing
you had,
thermogenesis.
I don't know, 1,500 calories a day coming from protein, some people could even just nix that and say, like, that's,
Yeah, and maybe that's why the carnivore diet works so well, because maybe like, hey, like that 200 grams of protein you ate, that 800 calories that you
Yeah.
ate is just gone. It
I
doesn't
also
count.
wonder
You
what
know?
happens when your body takes a fat and turns it into a ketone. I wonder if there's a caloric cost to that because the ketones have like 7 calories per unit as opposed to
Yeah.
9 like fat does. So that's a little confusing to me. Like, does your fat like let's say you converted over 20% of your fat calories into ketones,
Yeah.
hypothetically, would that would that have a negative caloric balance there because you're converting them into ketones? I don't know, or if that doesn't.
That's a question for D'Agostino.
Yeah,
Probably he'll
yeah.
probably know that.
I hope
Yeah,
everyone was listening to what you were saying with what you were like, how your diet's gone. Just because, like, a lot of people when they try out a carnivore or a keto diet, they feel that like after the first 3 days, oh God, this feels like shit. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
They don't give it time. But you've been on this thing over and over. You failed multiple times,
Yeah.
and every single time you were failing forward to end up to where you are now, jacked, shredded, strong as hell. So it's not a smooth road
No.
at all. Like, that needs to be understood. You're gonna fuck up a
and
lot.
I posted today, like, it's been a long road.
Yeah.
Like I got out of rehab 5 years ago, and 5 years ago was like that's when I made the commitment to change my life. And then for the first like 2 years, I didn't really change anything except for I was like a better person. Like I wasn't drinking and doing drugs every day. I was with Lauren, and she kept me on track on a lot of things, and I was just trying to get my life back together. And I was making a leap of faith. And during that time, I found Kratom, which is now Mind Bullet. And
Some
Kratom,
good shit, by the way, though.
Yeah.
That, oh,
but like that Kratom was the real catalyst. Like that's what started everything. And a lot of people don't understand that. When you're in pain and everything hurts and you can barely move, and then you take something and it like turns the lights back on, you're like, wait a second, this turned the lights back on. And it's what allowed me to do the diet. People
Yeah.
ask me like, does Kratom help you lose weight? Like, dude, Kratom got me in the best shape of my life. I can't tell you that it specifically makes you lose weight, but it'll make you stick to your goals. It'll make you have a champion mindset. And I think Mark talks about this more than anybody. When people fail and when people aren't doing good and when people are mad and depressed and on social media acting like, assholes, they have a shit attitude.
yeah.
And he talks about the shit attitude all the time. And that's what I always think. Like, I'll wake up some days and I'll be like, I'm just going to text Mark and tell him I'm going to sleep in. That's a shit attitude. No, you're going to go to the gym. You know what I mean? And so I always think about him whenever I think about, like, whenever I'm every once in a while, something will be really, I'll be in a lot of pain. I'll be like, hey, today's not a good day for me to go in, right? But that's
Yeah.
very, very rare, For the most time, like, don't have a shit attitude.
I found it interesting when Sean was explaining some of his story. Our buddy Sean, who owns several Dutch brothers out here in Northern California, when he was explaining some of his story and speaking about some of his successes, when you were asking him the other day at Phil's Coffee, he said, well, some of these things, it took about like 10 years. And you were like, oh, that's really nothing. Like, that's not that it's nothing. You're not trying to diminish what he's talking about, but you're pointing out the fact that, look, an investment of 10 years of your life towards building this franchise, this company, building your legacy and building this financial freedom isn't really that much to pay. Like, it's not that hard of a price to pay. So somebody listening to this right now, if they're on the other side of things, they're not in a good spot right now, and they hear you say 5 years, they're like, I'm out. because they're thinking it's going to be really, really hard. But 5 years will fly by really, really fast. And
Yeah.
you should not be, under no circumstances, should you be in the same spot
I should say
that you were 5 years ago. You should continue to figure out ways of making at least some small progress.
I don't think people should discount the fact that we've been around for a long time. And like we've been, I worked out in Gold's Gym in Venice for over 20 years, and I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen so many people get in shape in 3 months, do a bodybuilding show, and then be a fat fuck the rest of their life. You know what I mean? I've seen so many people do that. I've seen so many people develop disordered eating from bodybuilding. I've seen so many people develop bad habits from so-called flexible dieting. I've seen like the ups and downs, the goods and bads of every diet. Not saying that that's a bad diet. I'm just saying I've seen the ups and downs of every diet. I've seen people do keto that get really fat. We've just seen so much through the years that like I think people think it's going to be a quick fix. It's going to be a couple months. I'm going to tune up. I'm going to go, the people that aren't in shape and then they get a goal, like I'm going to go in a bodybuilding show or a physique competition. And then they do that and they completely like wreck themselves. And then they can't get out of it and they don't know how to get out of it. And then they're like also like kind of damaged mentally from it as well. And I think that the way that I did it wasn't on purpose that way. Like, yeah, I would have loved to lose weight. I would have loved to lose all my body fat in 3 months and been like, okay, that's it. And I'm done. But I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Yeah.
I would probably be fat again right now.
You have
But
control.
since the journey's long, you're like, well, I'm not gonna, and it gives you time. Like I feel comfortable, like I feel okay, and I feel like I'm healing every day from all the bad stuff that happened in the past, and that I just get better every day. And I feel like if you get into perfect shape really quick, you're bound to lose it really quick, but you're also I feel like that the constant goal of trying to get better every day is what keeps me going every day. So I kind of need that. If I had nowhere else to go, if I was like, okay, I'm perfect, I need somewhere to go. And that's what gives me drive and continues me on this path,
Yeah, you got to really earn it. What you got, Andrew?
Everyone's commenting on your beard, Chris.
Hey, now.
Everyone loves it. They
It's
want me to go
beautiful.
up and rub it. Actually, it's
You can rub
getting odd. Yeah, but when did you decide to start growing that bad boy?
It wasn't a decision. It was a lot of times Mark and Andy will go away, and they just leave the kids. They asked me
Somebody's
to
got to watch them.
They asked me to babysit, so I was babysitting, and then I brought my little toiletry bag that has like a razor and all your stuff in it.
Yeah.
I brought it over to Mark's, and then they were in the middle of moving, a bunch of different things were going on, and I just forgot to go over and get it. So basically, over the course of like 5 days, it started growing in, and then I just left it.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how it started. It started on a fluke.
Yeah. Have you just never let it happen? Because I don't know why you haven't done that until this point. It looks
I
just...
kind of don't like it, so it's like
Why?
I think it makes my face look really wide. Like I look way fatter with it. I think.
You don't
No.
look fat with that, bro.
It looks great.
Maybe like I don't know. Maybe it's different now since like you're leaner and your face is leaner. Maybe it looked different before, but dude,
I don't
you
know.
look like
If you want
Just
to date,
English.
Nsima, I mean, like,
Huh?
if you want to date, we can go out this weekend.
dude. Seriously, I,
got
just wish
nothing
I
going.
could grow a beard like
I got
that.
nothing going on this weekend in
I'm being
Nsima.
real.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that.
On the carnivore diet, you hear a lot of people. One of the biggest things that at least I hear is like, oh, I need something to snack on. Like if on a carnivore diet, what do you eat in between meals? And I'm always just like, well, you just eat more meat. But you had posted something yesterday about it looked like kind of like jerky, right?
Oh my God, no, it's not. It's nothing like jerky.
Oh, okay.
So I don't like jerky. I don't eat any beef jerky, and a lot of times they put soy in beef jerky. So I'm not a jerky. I'm not a jerky.
Yeah, beef jerky
Not-
kind of sucks.
I think it's terrible. It's too hard to chew. It kills my teeth. It gets stuck in my teeth. So I'm not a fan. I know if some people are. That's okay. Go for it. This is called carnivore snacks. My friend Josh sent them. Josh Peralt. And there is a girl called Biohacking Chick on, her name's, I want to say Sylvia Tabor, I think. She's on Instagram, carnivore or Biohacking Chick. And so she sent me, she makes them. They're called carnivore snacks. And what they do is they take ribeyes and they slice them really thin. And then they, I don't know if they air fry them or how they do it. But so this is like, imagine a potato chip made out of ribeye.
Oh man.
That's basically what it is. I think I have them in the car. I can bring them in after this and we can try them.
Mm.
I just think they're really good. I mean, it's a simple snack.
Is it a little chewier?
No, it's not chewy at all. It's crispy like a potato chip. It's crunchy.
Oh.
It's crunchy and the fat melts in your mouth.
Oh.
So that's carnivore snacks. You can't even get them yet. You have to sign up for a subscription, and they will be launching in like a couple weeks. That's carnivore
okay.
snacks. But also, like, so I eat that, right? That's one. I just got those yesterday, so it's not like a daily thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like those. But there are some other like little snacks.
Hey, you know what? Look, if you really wanted to, you can have a fucking apple. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, you're just trying to embrace something new and something healthy, and you're trying to be able to do it for a long period of time. So, like, that's what our dad does. Like, randomly he'll eat an apple. Is an apple gonna throw off your nutrition plan? Like,
Probably
yeah,
not.
maybe you're gonna be like, maybe it's gonna take you a little longer to get into ketosis or something like that if you're trying a keto diet. But an apple is pretty filling. They're delicious. They taste really good. They're portable. Bring around, if you're trying to bring stuff with you, hard-boiled eggs can be really convenient.
Yeah, I was gonna say hard-boiled eggs are great.
The ones from Costco they're cooked really well, and they're not, your egg yolk isn't green; it's like actually yellow. So I mean, there's
To me,
tons of there's cheese. There's a lot more options than you
To
might
me,
think.
coffee is kind of a snack. Like coffee will keep me away from food or
10-minute
wanting-
walk is a snack.
not wanting food. And then the other thing is like either a little bit of seeds, like pumpkin seeds, or like nut butter, stuff like that. But like if it's nut butter, it's only a certain kind of nuts, like F-bombs, like macadamia nut butter, or pecan nut butter. The things that are really low in carbs, like almond butter and peanut butter, are both pretty high in carbs by volume, because you end up eating way more. When it has 7 grams of carbs per serving, and then you eat like 3 servings, now you're up to 21 grams of carbs, and you're like, why am I having that?
A
Yeah.
protein shake, bone broth. You got some options.
Yeah.
Perfect keto bars are good too if you're on keto.
I was
Dude,
just
perfect
gonna
keto
ask
bars are
about that, yeah.
excellent. I
Yeah.
think those are a great option as well.
Cookie dough or cinnamon roll.
That's tough, man. I just
You don't want
ordered,
to. You don't want to get in the middle of it.
I
He
just
doesn't wanna
ordered some
decide.
cookie dough because you told me they're the best flavor. So I was actually on the site when I asked you. You're like, yeah, cookie dough is the best. I'm like,
I
okay.
wonder if they could just send us the dough. Like, is
Like,
the
don't
dough
even-
really good,
Watch
Or-
that be
or-
their next product.
or is it like not? Maybe it's not cooked. I don't know.
There
I
is
don't know how that works.
I don't know how it works. Either.
No.
well,
They have dough.
the other bars. This is amazing. This is the best bar I've ever tried. It's still the best bar, undisputed, except for they use pea protein in it. Is the Boo Keto Bar, BHU?
Those are good.
Those Boo Keto bars that are refrigerated. It's like, man,
Those are pretty legit.
I wish they had a better protein source in them, but whatever.
And there's another one that's kind of like that. But yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of keto options out there. There's a lot more stuff, coming our way. Anyway, we're gonna wrap this goddamn thing up, unless you got something amazing over there, Andrew.
I mean, the bars we were just talking about right now, Perfect Keto's running an additional sale or percentage off than we normally are able to offer you. So, all orders of $40 or more get 20% off when you go to perfectketo.com/powerproject and you enter promo code PowerProject20. So it's a little bit different than it is before, but they're giving a bigger discount from now till I think the end of the month. I'm not sure on that part, but just go right now and that's what you'll get.
To the 27th.
Okay, there you go.
We also want to thank our peeps at Quest Nutrition. Quest Nutrition is always providing some of the best products that you can get in the world. They have protein powders that you can cook with. They have protein bars. They got their chips. A lot of people probably aren't aware of the Hero Bar. That's one of our favorites. They have a couple different flavors, and they're just different. I think it kind of reminds me of like what the original protein bars were trying to do years ago. They were trying to make it taste like a candy bar. I don't think anybody was ever all that successful with them. So you're going to want to check out a Quest Hero Bar. We're talking about snacks. I personally have when I get into my mode, and I really try to tighten up my diet, I try to eliminate all snacks the best that I possibly can. But that doesn't last very long. And so when I think about like what I'm really trying to do, it's going to take me a long time to get to where I want to be. And because of that, I'm going to have to rely on some of these perfect keto products, some of these Quest products. I have a Quest pizza probably, once every other week, things like that, just implementing some of these things. I know you guys like the chips and stuff like that. So go over and check out what Quest Nutrition has. Tell them how they can get a deal, Andrew.
Yeah, you guys, and then also they sent out the s'mores bar, and I took a bite of that, and I got a good chunk of chocolate, and I was like, oh, this tastes kind of like a Hershey's chocolate. So I'm like, oh, that's probably the s'mores thing. I'm like, this is good, and then the graham cracker taste hit, and I was like,
Ooh.
oh shit, they nailed it. Like
the Quest bars.
dude, yeah, it's a s'mores flavor. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Anyways,
those-
questnutrition.com at checkout, enter promo code MarksQuest. That'll get you 20% off everything that they have there. Highly recommend the blueberry cobbler hero bar. Thank me later.
Boom.
Where can people find you, Boar?
At Big Strong Fast on Instagram, and at I think Bigger Stronger Faster on TikTok now. I just joined up
Hey.
TikTok, so trying that
Did
out.
someone say Big Strong Fast?
No, should I? It should probably stay the same, huh?
I mean, you
I
could
don't
just
know.
make another one that's Big Strong
I'm
Fast.
won-
No one takes it. Just make a second account.
Yeah, because I'm wondering because I don't know. Anyway, let's not get into that.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like this is live. No one's going to take it.
Yeah. So anyway, what else? Oh, Twitter too. Big Strong Fast on Twitter,
There
and
you
that's
go.
probably about it.
And,
And
at
then-
Phil's Coffee and Super Training Gym.
And then movies, Bigger, Stronger, Faster on Hulu. And if you haven't seen Prescription Thugs or A Leaf of Faith, they are on Netflix. And Trophy Kids, if you haven't seen that, it's on HBO Go.
And he's in the middle of working on a carnivore movie, but hasn't really kicked off a lot of the filming just yet. Although he and I have filmed some
Well,
stuff.
We've been on a journey.
We've been on
the
a
whole,
journey, yeah.
The whole thing is we were making a movie about one thing and it kind of turned into another. And that's the beauty of documentaries.
Yep.
That's a beauty of a real documentary. Like, I don't think Game Changers did that. I don't think they're like, hey, let's make a movie about veganism. And then it turns out to be about carnivore. like, my movie started out about keto.
Yeah,
and
have
it's
an
really going to be about carnivore in the end. You know, I think that's interesting.
Where can people find you, Andrew?
You guys can find me on Instagram at I am Andrew Z. When you search for me, I'm probably going to come up last in the search list because I'm currently shadow banned. But I'm the one that's just at I am Andrew Z. No dots, no dashes, no nothing. That's me. Nsima, where can they find you?
At Nsima Inyang, Nsimayanyang on Instagram and YouTube.
Andrew, what's up with this Shred-a-geddon thing? How can people follow along with what's going on with that?
So like I expected nobody to even care, but I just said like, hey, if you guys want to join me on this Shred-a-geddon journey, like just hit me up right now. And so like I started a closed group where like I'm sharing workouts and then gonna start sharing some nutrition stuff. So yeah, I'm just like, you guys want to work out with me type of thing, then that's where it's gonna be at. But I actually don't know where the videos are gonna live, like the final versions, like from my camera and stuff. But yeah, as of right now, I just have a big ass group. Instagram can't even tell me how many people are in it because it's so big. And the response was amazing.
Great.
So yeah, just on my Instagram, just lob me a DM and or just comment on something and say I want to get in the group, and I will add you.
Sick.
At Mark Smelly Bell. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch y'all later.